You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austen Show.
Well, here we go. High atop Everbank Stadium on NFL Draft Day 2024. There's a buzz in the air. There's always excitement around the NFL Draft. Love covering these over the last 16 years. We've been from New York to Philadelphia to Chicago. We've had a team in Vegas. Where the heck else have we been? Dallas. We've been all over the map with the NFL Draft, but right here inside the stadium today. Welcome to Everbank Stadium, and a big day for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A big day around the National Football League. The draft is in Detroit this year, Kansas City last year. Someday it will be in Jacksonville. It will be in Jacksonville someday. Got to get that stadium pass first and then build up downtown a little bit more. Then later this decade, I bet, or early in the 2030s, we will get the NFL Draft in Jacksonville. It's not a guarantee, but, well, it's kind of a guarantee because I put 8 dinners at Ruth's Chris on it one day years ago here on the airwaves. So I have to pay that off if it doesn't happen at some point. Brent Martineau here. Jason Hamby is in the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network studios, and Austen Lane will join us from Las Vegas a little bit later on in the program. What is the latest going on? And I can tell you what the latest going on. All of a sudden yesterday, Jason Hamby, T. Higgins says, I want to be traded. They dropped that before the draft, according to reports. Does that open up your heart a little bit more to a wide receiver trade with the Cincinnati Bengals?
I mean, we've been over this so many times, and it looked like the door had been shut on it. But, of course, he just goes ahead and opens it right back up himself. It was kind of the ownership and everybody else that had quieted those rumors down. I mean, we've been talking about this for the better part of it seems like 6 weeks. But, I mean, he's the guy everybody wants. And the problem is just that the Bengals pick 18th. So it's like that's you're going to have to give them a lot more. There's nothing in tonight's draft that they're going to want. To give T. Higgins away. You know, obviously, if you're a team like in the top 10, you could see that wants to trade back and take that receiver. You could see it. You could see a package deal coming up from 32, you know, in the background. It's just so much harder to do when they're the pick after you.
Yeah, listen, Higgins said a couple weeks ago to a TV station, I think, out of Cincinnati, that he plans on playing on the tag. Well, Hendrickson and now Higgins obviously planned this right before the draft. They know this is maybe their last chance to kind of get some movement. I guess the story out of Cincinnati was something to the effect of, like, they really haven't talked in a long time, like over a year, about a deal. So I don't think there's a future deal coming for Higgins in Cincinnati. Does that mean the Jags or the Steelers or the Patriots or somebody else could be in play? Where's Brandon Ayuk in all of this? So this is going to be a blockbuster day, I think, here in the NFL. I'm not saying just in Jacksonville. I think across the league. I think we're going to have a lot of these rumors. I think we're going to have a lot of reports. I think we're going to have a lot of who's dropping, who's climbing. I think it's going to be intriguing. I think because of where the Jags sit at number 17, because of the different directions they can go, I think you bring all of those rumors kind of into play on how does it impact the Jags. Take away quarterback. Like, if the Herbert stuff and the odds and all that, the Chargers, well, that doesn't really bring the Jags much into play other than the fact that maybe the Chargers aren't going to take a wide receiver or something like that. But I think all these things have a domino effect outside of QB most likely that could impact or change the way you think about what the Jaguars are going to do at pick number 17. And here's the deal. I'll come out of the gates with this, and later on we'll obviously tell you who we think the Jags will pick and what will happen. But I don't have a feel the Jags are staying at 17. Now, that's easier said than done. We do this all the time on the outside. In the building, really in the Miller Electric Center, it used to be right here, but for the first time it's over in the Miller Electric Center. In that war room, you can want to do a lot of things. Being able to do it is a different story. And so what will the Jags do? Will they trade up? Will they stay back? Will they stay at 17? I think, based on what Baalke said, with 3 or 4 players that they covet, with that 12, 13, 14 range that they possibly could move up. He dropped that a couple of times. I think they're showing you a little bit that they wouldn't mind doing that if their guy is still there or if they feel the necessity to move up and go get him. I'm predicting that they move up a couple of spots. Not all the way in the top 10 for one of those receivers necessarily, but I think into those 12, 13, 14 spot makes some sense to me. I could also predict they move back depending on how the board falls, because I think it could be good business, even though I know it doesn't excite all of us, which means it could be a long night for the Jacksonville Jaguars and the fan base and everybody here at the party at Everbank Stadium. So I think there's a lot in play. I've said that for a couple of months. I find this very fascinating, this draft cycle for the Jaguars, even though it's not a top 10 pick, a top 5 pick. I think the mystery here continues in Jacksonville about what they will do positionally, player-wise, and where they will take that draft pick. So for me, that adds so much excitement and fun, and I think for you too, probably, because the unknown is kind of fun sometimes. Hopefully now the Jags just get it right, really make a good pick and get a good player out of this 2024 draft. And I think that's the other comfort here. There are a lot of good players in this draft. I think a lot of people think there are good players in this draft. And we'll see if that turns out to be the case. You never really know for a few years down the road. And let's be honest, we have no idea if last year's draft was good or not yet. We think Anton Harrison was, and everybody thinks the other 12 picks were like, why'd you do that? Well, we really have no idea. What if Brenton Strange has a good year? What if Tank Bigsby really is valuable and has 8 touchdowns this year running out the goal line? You just don't know. So I think we have a lot to learn. Antonio Johnson is going to probably be in that starting lineup. So that's not a bad pick, it looks like, for the Jags from last year. You need a couple years to figure it out, even though we'll try to label guys before they even play 20 games in the National Football League. Brent Martineau here, Jason Hamby back there. Do we have any other kind of reports and rumors as I'm setting up in the sweat here at Everbank Stadium, Hamby? As the draft party's going on tonight, and everybody hopefully will come down to the stadium and be a part of it. Anything else flying around out there? From Rumorville, from the Schefters, the Rappaports, or Pretty Ricky?
Well, I mean, obviously T. Higgins. Obviously, you have Trey Hendrickson, as you touched on. You have guys like I forget who it was. Was it Jeremiah who was said? No, I can't confirm this. I'll have to look it up. But I believe it was Jeremiah who said the Patriots are locked into Drake May. Because that's kind of been the interesting pick in the top 3, because the first 2 almost seem like shoo-ins now, as much as they can be. Will the Patriots take Drake May, or if a team will offer them a bag, will they take another quarterback at 8, 9, or 12, 13, or something like that? But I believe it was Jeremiah who said they love Drake May, the Patriots do, and they're pretty much locked in.
Yeah, I mean, that's Patriots, I think, are somewhat interesting. I actually think the most fascinating team in the draft could be the Minnesota Vikings. They've got 11, they've got 23. They probably need a quarterback. Are they going to move Justin Jefferson? Are they linked to the Justin Herbert rumors? I think they are the team that's interesting. Now, the Chargers become interesting, too, based on yesterday's news, based on the fact that Harbaugh is just a wild card, it feels like. Anyway, there are a lot of interesting teams here, but I do think Minnesota carries so much of the power potentially in this draft because of the capital they have with the 2 first-round picks. So something to keep an eye on. I think we'll get more rumors throughout the day. Somebody put on Twitter and tagged us in it because they really wanted to tout their mock draft that we shocked and said there's no way Odunze is going to land at 17. And apparently now there are some rumors, I don't know where they're hearing them, that Odunze, if he gets by the Bears at 9, that he could slip all the way down to the 15-20 mark of this draft. So is that true? Who knows? Are any of the rumors true? What's smoke? What's not? What's real when it comes to this 2024 NFL draft? That's the fun of today, though. we can have fun with all of it. Nothing is gospel until it actually happens. And I think that's kind of cool. Brent Martineau here, the Brent and Austen Show, the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. You like the new shirt, Hamby?
Oh, yeah. I almost wore mine today, but I was thinking I was going to wear it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine. I was like, you know what? We're coming out here to the stadium. We might as well brand it. We got to tell everybody about the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. I knew I was going to sweat a little. This shirt was, what would you call this? Like a beige, like a tan?
Ooh, yeah, I'm going to go tan.
All right, tan. It will be filled with sweat and a little darker in about 40 minutes, if it's not already.
Did you say you got pants on?
I got another one in the car. Yeah, I got jeans on. I'm not sure that was a smart move. I didn't know I didn't really think about it, I guess. I could have gone to the club just to let you know, 1, how tough I am, and 2, how much I just care about you, the viewer, especially. because I wanted to give you the look of the stadium. So I got two big lights shining because the sun's in the background, so it's not a great setup without the lights. And I wanted to give you a look at the draft party, a little sneak peek for tonight. So I'm just going to sweat all day for you. And then don't call it smell-o-vision later on tonight, all right? Maybe I can hop in a shower in the Miller Electric Center or something.
Oh.
I'm taking one for the team here. Once in a while, we get a light breeze. Once in a while, we get a light breeze, and that certainly helps along the way. Hey, how many guys have been mocked to the Jacksonville Jaguars? Like, how many different players? This, to me, sums up how fun this draft is. I have seen it all over the board, including this morning. Peter Schrager, I think, put something out where he had Xavier Worthy at 17 going to the Jags. And I'm like,
that was the first time I'd seen that one.
Me too, and that's what got me thinking about it. Go through the list, Hamby. What have you seen?
Okay, so
this is just off the top of our dome, by the way. This isn't like we don't have whoever did what, but.
Right. Are we going from the analyst professionals, from everything that we've had on our show, period, anything that we've possibly seen?
With all due respect to Delphonic and Tax Doctor One, our finalists here in the Shock Your Mock presented by Everbank Finals, might come home with one of these shirts, by the way. We're not talking about the Shock Your Mockers. I'm talking about like the educated guessers that have inside info or plan to or think they do or whatever else. And I'm more talking about the last couple of weeks because that's when people start to define it. In the early going, it's all about clicks and they shape it one way or another and then they finalize their deal in the last week or so. But, I mean, go ahead, write down the list. I mean, you can name probably 3 different corners that have been mocked to the Jags?
Yeah, so we'll start with Byron Murphy. You got the 3 corners, Arnold, Quinion Mitchell, and Kool-Aid McKinstry. I have seen a Cooper DeJean to the Jags. You got to throw him in there.
Wiggins?
You've seen Wiggins. That's 5. If you go receivers,
5 corners.
On the edge, you got all 3. I've seen Verse. No, not Dallas Turner. So the 2 Verse, Chop Robinson, and Latu. Yep. Receivers wise, you get Brian Thomas, A.D. Mitchell. I've seen a Keon Coleman in one. Xavier Worthy.
Whoa.
Yep.
Keon Coleman at 17. That'd be something.
Yeah, that'd be a little special. So that was 12 right there?
That's 4 receivers. That's 3 pass rushers. That's 5 corners. So that's 12. You did it right. Good job, SAT man. And then I have not seen mocked, which I'm a little surprised.
Oh, Johnny Newton.
No, I did. I saw Mims. Didn't I see Mims?
Amarius?
Yeah. Somebody did a Mims one recently. Pretty sure. And you mentioned Murphy, by the way, so that'd be like 14. You saw Newton. I didn't see Newton somewhere, but that would be 15. I have not seen. We did mention Brian Thomas. I mean, that's just that's like 15 guys. And again, not everybody's right. Everybody's guessing here. I get it, but doesn't it show you a little bit how open it is that the Jags could get such a wide array? And don't forget, this process started with like the center out of Oregon, being the guy for many people. And, of course, that changed when Mitch Morse gets, signed in free agency and stuff. But, I mean, if you want to go all the way back, you've got a plethora of players that have been linked to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but primarily corners, wide receiver, few pass rushers, couple of defensive tackles, and if people want to try to sneak in the offensive lineman here or there, they've done it. So do we have it right position-wise that the Jaguars are going to take a corner, a receiver, or a pass rusher? Those are probably the 3 that have been linked the most. And honestly, I really think it's been corner and wide receiver the most. Would you take corner, wide receiver, or the field about the Jaguars position-wise at number 17?
I mean, I know that everybody, 95% of Jags fans would take corner receiver. I would take the field because of my... everything that we've talked about is just points to pass rusher. It goes back to the day one what we said is the guy that you draft at 17 or whether it's 13 or whoever you take in the first round's got to play week 1 on the first series and make an immediate impact. And if you brought in Darby and you brought in Savage and you got Tyson fully healthy, you're not trotting your numbers. I mean, you don't have to put your first round pick in that corner. And when is he going to play? And if he does, then you're sitting a guy that you just committed money to. And like we've addressed, Darby at $4 million a year is not the end of the world if he doesn't play starting snaps for all 17 weeks. But still, you committed money to the guy. I'm sure you brought him here and told him that he was going to be the starter week 1. So corner, obviously has to be addressed, but not in the first round. And then you look at who's going to make the most impacts, the biggest impact, and who's going to get the most snaps and meaningful snaps. It's got to be the pass rusher. After Josh Allen, after Trayvon, of course you have Trevis Gibson, which hopefully will be a pleasant surprise. But you got to have 4 or 5 guys off the edge. As much as those guys rotate, you can't have Josh Allen playing every first down, every second down, and every third down of the game. And if that's not the case, then you got to go get one in the first round tonight.
Yeah, so we'll see what the Jags do. Again, there's so much fun on the table here for the Jaguars to do so many different things, and I think that it carries about as much intrigue and mystery as I can remember. Now, I think last year was a bit mysterious, and you expect the mystery because it's a later rounds. And I was stunned to see right tackle go, quite frankly, or tackle at the time. He hadn't even played right tackle, Anton Harrison. Turns out it was a good pick. So that's a pleasant surprise, like for me. We've been surprised in the past, or we've liked the pick in the past, and it hasn't always worked out. So keep that in mind on your feelings later tonight on whatever happens. The most disappointing thing, I said it earlier in the week, that could happen to the Jags is they take nobody in the first round and completely trade out. Like, it just doesn't feel like that would be the most absurd thing that happens for the Jags. There's too many good players, it looks like, in this draft. There seems like there's blue chippers. The Jags are, if they're not almost there, they're certainly close to almost there as a contender, right? I mean, I think many people believe that. Are they one player away? Don't ever say that. They're never one player away. But you go get another piece to the puzzle, another piece to the pie, and the Jags can maybe take that next step if they get some good contribution. Remember now, Anton Harrison was a good player for them last year. He did a good job. He contributed to their success more than their collapse at the end of the year. I don't put that on him. He had some struggles early on, but that's because he's going against some stud guys. Anton Harrison helped this football team last year win games, get to 8-3, put them in a position to make the playoffs. Can you find a guy that's going to help you again this year do that? Where does that come? Where's the biggest impact that guy can make on this football roster? And there's not a lot of opportunity on this roster based on what they've done. So it's either got to be a really good player that's better than what you already have, or it's got to fill a bit of a hole. And that's what they're discussing, or have already discussed for the last year or so inside Jags headquarters. Let's take a timeout. We're live at Everbank Stadium. We've got coverage all day on our newscasts all day long. CBS 47 and Fox 30. 7 o'clock tonight. Draft Night in Duval special presented by Everbank will be at 7 o'clock live on Fox 30. We will air that on our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network stream as well. So you can see that on actionnewsjacks.com. If you're out of town, you can see that on the Action News Jacks app. If you're out of town or even in town, for both of those places, you don't have to be in front of the TV, but we hope you are watching Fox 30 tonight on Draft Night in Duval special. We'll have Tony Baselli live. We'll have Travis Etienne live on that show, and much, much more as we get you set from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. for the draft later tonight. But we've got until 1 o'clock to do that as well. Let's take a timeout here live downtown, Everbank Stadium, NFL Draft Day 2024. What are the Jaguars going to do? We'll talk more about it when we come back on the Brent and Austen Show.
What started out as better people, better projects just keeps getting,
Welcome back
well,
to the
better.
Brent and Austen
That's better
Show,
exterior
streaming
solutions,
on the Action
ready to help
Sports
you
Jacks
create a
24/7
better outdoor
network.
experience. Check this out. Motorized pergolas are the latest in technology to transform your outdoor space. Beautiful day? Let the sun shine through. Summer rainstorm? These pergola systems close automatically to keep the weather out. From residential to commercial uses, Better Exterior Solutions has products customized to meet virtually any existing architectural structure. With retractable awnings, screens, and hurricane shutters too, if you want unparalleled quality and expertise, you need Better Exterior Solutions. Get a free estimate by visiting betterexteriors.com or calling 904-902-4999. Better Exterior Solutions. Experience better.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
I'm Action News Jack's First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beaton. While the sun is up and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jax This Morning team helping you start your morning right.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank, non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Community. That's who we serve.
It's the people. Yeah, it's the people.
Demanding answers. Because the truth matters.
When are you going to do the job?
Listening and getting help to those who need it.
I just appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
It's about telling stories from deep inside our neighborhoods, informing you, building connections, tracking storms.
Serious storm situation, the kind of which we rarely see.
Holding people accountable.
You were getting at the truth.
That's who we are. Action News Jax.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jax Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jax Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, there's a high look at Everbank Stadium. I don't think you can see me from that shot. I think we're covered up here. We're on the west side of the club. So from the high up shot, I don't really think you can get a good look. If so, I would wave, but I think we're kind of blocked in here a little bit. Plus, I don't want to look up near the sun. I'm getting plenty of that right now. Now, it's actually a beautiful day It is a little on the warm side if you wear jeans, but it is actually a very nice day out with a little breeze here. The beautiful time in Jacksonville. Been a beautiful week. The nights are lovely, and it's going to be a beautiful night tonight, according to First Alert Weather Team and Mike Burrish and company. So make sure you come on out. I think you'll love it a lot if you get out here tonight. Enjoy the festivities. The draft parties are fun. Daly's Place is the place that it's been the last couple of years. Once, I think, let's see, Trevor Lawrence, when he got picked, they did it inside the stadium. It was a great crowd that night. Obviously, all the buzz and excitement. We knew what was going on. It was going to be fun. We knew the pick. Then Trayvon Walker, that was at Daly's Place, and that was fun, too. We did not know what the pick was going to be. Like, that one was a little mysterious with Hutchinson and Thibodeau, and maybe could even go, I think, a couple offensive linemen in that draft that you could potentially have drafted. And last year, we were inside Daly's Place as well. Well, this year, we're here, I think, primarily because All Elite Wrestling is inside Daly's Place for a couple of shows. They had the show last night. They've got another one coming up with Rampage Collision on Saturday. And, oh, what a night in All Elite Wrestling. I can't wait to hear from Austen later on in Vegas and get his thoughts on it. But I guess it's taken the wrestling world by storm. Shad Khan making an appearance in the ring. Tony Khan pile-drived last night on All Elite Wrestling. Did you see that coming, Hamby?
Did I see that coming? No. I did. Shad Khan kind of pull a heel turn for his son. I mean, he looked like he could kind of throw down a little bit, and almost taking the Vince McMahon the route with a surprise appearance. I didn't watch live. I wish I would have. I want to know if he had theme music.
Yeah, I didn't. Listen, I was at a ball game and we're locked in, all right? I mean, we got a lot going on here, which is another part of the story. We better have excitement here in Jacksonville because I'm missing the final regular season game tonight in baseball and softball. But enough about me. I don't watch it normally anyway. I usually get it from you guys and see the highlights. But obviously this thing was trending. That Tony and Shad obviously made the appearance, not necessarily Tony, but it led to an appearance, what happened to Tony. So, but I think there was like mixed reaction. Like I never know how to judge this stuff because I don't watch it all the time. So I don't know it. I don't know the storylines. I get how the storylines manifest. But I think there was some instant negative reaction to it, which I find a little interesting because, I mean, hasn't wrestling been doing that for years with CEOs and ownership and people in charge kind of getting involved once in a while?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
so what have you seen? Is it negative reaction or is it something that is going to help AEW? Like I never have a good vantage point of that. What's your take?
Oh, I think it is definitely something that's gonna. I mean, already it's gotten people talking, and you can already argue that it's done some good for it. Unfortunately for this conversation, but fortunately for my entertainment, the majority of the talk around it has just been people snipping pictures of it and videos and putting something that Baalke could do over it as a reaction for memes.
Of course, right? Yeah.
You know, he's storming down to the ring and people putting when Goodell announces that Tyler Guyton is the Jags pick at 31. 'Cause he was the original Baalke burner account guy. But so if you need to laugh, go ahead and search Shad Khan and you'll get some good memes. Really hoping that none of those come true. But I love it from an AEW aspect. I mean, he comes down there. Obviously, I don't think Shad Khan's going to get in the ring other than that. Obviously, not going to be going in there taking bumps and throwing guys around, but definitely entertaining to say the least.
Yeah, listen, it's got people talking, right? I mean, same thing we talked about the other day with the CM Punk stuff with Swerve Strickland and the new world champ when we had him in studio. I mean, it's got people talking. So I'm interested to see what Austen has to say about it. I think it's in an odd place, wrestling right now, at least from an AEW standpoint, because of, I think WWE has just taken off a bit more. So I just am very, very passive observer here. I'm curious what the wrestling world kind of thinks about all this and what's going on. But I told you this for a couple of weeks. We had Tony Storm in, and we had Swerve in. I was like, this is around draft time for a couple of reasons, most likely. Tony's got some work to do on the football side. Hopefully he's okay now. But also, you knew there'd be some kind of collaboration, which doesn't hurt the brand at all, I think, if you would kind of get that NFL shield and crossover, which we saw with Urban Meyer years ago, and maybe we see even more of it coming up this weekend. Shad Khan, obviously, in town for the draft. He'll be in the war room. And I always ask this question. Shad Khan has learned a lot, in my opinion, over the years about the NFL, about this organization. He's tried things a bunch of different ways. And what is your view, as somebody probably not as close to it as I am, Hamby, and has been for the last 15 years, and especially during Shad's run? What's your view of how his involvement, if you will, in this draft cycle? Is he an observer? Is he just another ear to listen to it? Is he the question guy? Does he have some decision making at all once everything is put in front of him?
Yeah, I think, even from Brent, when did Shad take over the team? Brent, you got me? Well, hopefully Brent's got me. But anyway, I think Shad is one of those that is definitely not a backseat driver, is not one who's going to give a lot of critiques, probably even ask any questions. He's just going to be there. I think he's a guy that really wants to be involved, and I think his involvement is capped at just being in the room, being in the know. I was probably going to ask some questions and probably not going to give any feedback, though. I don't know how involved the other owners are, but from my vantage point, it just seems like, Shad is one of the better guys at being involved but not stepping on throats. He's not anywhere near Jerry Jones, who seems like he's the GM, but he's also not the guy who says, hey, do whatever you want. I'm not even going to be there. I just signed the checks. And I think he's in that happy medium, and I think he's, I think Jags fans see that he's a pro player and a pro fan owner who's really going to do what's best. And I think what he thinks is best is leaving it up to Baalke, to Peterson, to our coaches, to the scouting staff, and just wants to be in the know.
Yeah, I think it's, by the way, you did a great job killing enough time for me to get this site back up as Wi-Fi knocked me off. So that's what I was doing during that time. Well done, Hamby. That was a nice job on your part. But yeah, I think I didn't hear a thing you said, but other than Shad Khan, I think, again, I go back to he's learned a lot about everything that goes on in the football world. I think probably as a very successful businessman, he's a fantastic listener, is my guess. But I also think, as a guy who's got a bunch of different things going on, I think during these big times, I think he might be locked in all the time, but I really think he's dialed in, locked in when it comes to the big moments, the big calendar moments of the year in the NFL for the Jags. Obviously, the Josh Allen extension. There's already talk about the Trevor Lawrence stuff, and he's involved. Trent Baalke said that last week, and I think he's going to be heavily, heavily, heavily involved in that, especially when you're writing those kind of checks. But yeah, I think this is a time period where, they're going to, my view of this is it's like this big PowerPoint presentation with Shad in the room, and you got to kind of sell it. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. And you wonder if he's the guy asking questions a lot that's makes you think as the decision maker, makes Trent Baalke think, make Doug Peterson think. He's not going to do that on the football field. These guys are calling plays or anything like that. But when you have this kind of lead up, when you have all this evidence of what to pick and what makes sense and why you would do this and what does it look like, not today, tomorrow, but also 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, that's where I think a guy like Shad really can come in, because he's a little bit on the outside of it, not as invested time-wise or emotionally as maybe the front office folks in that decision, so he can kind of be the step-back guy a little bit. And I don't know that. I bet that's the way it goes. It would seem to be logical that would happen. But I also just don't feel like he's going to take a year of work and be that emotional guy and say, yeah, I think we should pick this guy. Right. He's not that. He's not Jerry Jones in that sense. So I find it would be, I don't think we're going to know. I don't think we do really know. I think we kind of assume or guess a little bit on this, but it would be fascinating to kind of see his process in this. And it really doesn't start when he gets into town like this week. I think that process is ongoing for a long time with constant communication with this huge thing that he owns. Like, that is one thing. Flexingate made him billions of dollars, made him one of the richest people in the world. But nothing is giving him notoriety like the NFL and owning an NFL team. And maybe a little appearance on AEW now, too. But I do think he's definitely locked in from that standpoint and will be a part of the process more than a decision maker, which I got to believe most ownership folks are around the league. Like, I never got the sense like Robert Kraft was making the decisions in New England. Bill Belichick is. But you certainly know there's communication and bouncing back and what's the reasoning and all the things I just said. Robert Kraft feels that way. Well, Jerry Jones totally different in Dallas. And I give Jerry Jones like a ton of credit. Jerry Jones, I think for many people is viewed as like, oh yeah, he's got too much control. He's got his hands in too many places and too many things, whether it's micromanaging. Why is he running calling the shots here on player personnel, and of course his son now too. But man, they built a nice roster there in Dallas. That ain't the problem. Like, the roster isn't the problem. Whatever it is, they just can't get over the hump and win a playoff game. And I don't know what that problem is, and they haven't figured it out either. But they've done a nice job building that roster. Which team is going to factor into what the Jags do the most in the first half of the first round? Jags are the start of the second half of the first round. They are pick number 17 out of 32. So when those first 16 picks go off the board, assuming they stay, which team is going to impact what they do the most, Hamby? Do you have a guess?
So assuming they stay, I'm going to take the Colts at 15, simply because, obviously, as an in-division rival, more so because they seem to have the same kind of needs that the Jags have. I mean, you can see them taking a receiver. They've been mocked to Brian Thomas. You can see them taking edge. They've been mocked to Latu. They've been mocked to Verse. You can see them taking corner. They have young guys out there, and that seems like the least likely of those three positions because they brought back a lot of guys, and they, like we've talked a lot about it, they didn't make any big free agent splashes, but they retained almost all of their guys who were due for contract extensions. That included a couple corners. But I have seen them getting in the mix for a Terry and Arnold, for a Quinion Mitchell. And I think, with them being 2 picks ahead of us, a lot of what we're going to have on the draft, just who's going to be available, is going to be dependent on what they do. And specifically, if they were to trade up, even if there was a guy that they wanted to get at 11 or 12, that would benefit us in that sense, just because we'd feel like more time to field calls. I guess you could argue that 10 minutes is plenty, that anything that is ever going to get done, there's enough time to do it in that 10 minutes, especially when ESPN takes us to commercial before every pick of the last 5 years. But, which, by the way, we're going to get into props later, but I wanted to ask you, so what are the odds that the ESPN goes to commercial while the Jags are on the clock, or the pick is in? Not when they're on the clock. As soon as we see the pick is in, icon, bottom left, what are the odds that they go to commercial?
I think probably very good for multiple reasons. One, I think they now know it's a thing in Jacksonville. 2, it's such in the psyche of the Jags fan that we can't not go to break. I think a lot of teams probably go to break when it says pick is in, and people don't say it or notice it. But around here, when the Jags go to break, we notice it for some of the missteps they've made in the past. And I'll give you the real reason from a TV production standpoint. I think that seems like a good time to be able to go to break halfway through the draft. Now, they've already taken some, but that seems like the halfway point is a great time to be able to take a break if you're like building a rundown of a show, you know? So to me, it would make a lot of sense, actually, if they do go this time to break at that point. So back to the team that could impact the Jags the most. I was going there first. I think the Colts are very interesting. I think the Colts are the reason the Jags could trade up to 13, 14, 12, whatever it is, because they want to get the guy in front of the Colts, whether it's receiver, a Brian Thomas, whether it's a guy like who's slipping like a Brock Bowers, whether it's a pass rusher like Jared Verse, or whether it's one of the corners they covet, because it looks like Indy could go corner as well. So I think there's good reason for that. Here's the two other teams to me that really could factor in. One of them's the Atlanta Falcons. Who are they going to dance with if they trade out? Are they going to trade out? Do they want to get the best defensive player on the board? Or do they surprise us and take an offensive weapon like everybody else is doing and just add to the stable for Kirk Cousins? So I think Atlanta becomes that's where it starts. I think at 8, it could really impact what the Jags do based on who they trade with, if they trade, and what they pick. The other one to me is the Chicago Bears. We've heard different things, right? Everybody has the Bears saying, oh, let's go grab another receiver or a weapon with Caleb Williams. Makes some sense with everything else that you brought over there, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, all the others. But there's also reports that say they're willing to move out of there for the right price. If they move out, could that be the spot where the Jags actually get the highest to is number 9? Or you could say Atlanta at number 8. Or does somebody else do it? So if Indianapolis does it, well, now that really impacts, again, Indianapolis twofold. One, they traded up, and who are they going to take off the board? So I think those are the 3 teams for me of the top 16 before the Jags get to 17 if they were to stay that impact the Jaguars the most. Indianapolis makes the most sense, to your point, plus they're an AFC South foe. That also adds some weight to it. But I really think 8 and 9 are interesting, and I'm almost so stuck on that I'm wondering if I'm sleeping on whether it's the Jets or the Saints or the Raiders. But those teams, like we feel like the Vikings and the Raiders, maybe even New Orleans, could be getting quarterback even there. So, and I don't know if that impacts the Jags that much. So I'll go with those 3 teams. Indianapolis number 1, I think Atlanta number 2, and Chicago number 3. Those are the 3 teams. What they do tonight, I think that could really impact how the Jags maneuver and who they pick at number 17, or if they trade up or not.
Yeah, I'll throw one more out there, and I think it's really the Titans at 7. Because the more you look at it, they've been mocked very frequently to an offensive tackle. Well, there's like 3, 4 that are right in that, that are pretty, other than Joe Alt is kind of the unanimous number 1 left tackle. But even after him, you got J.C. Latham out of Alabama. You got Fuaga. You got the Fashanu, Amarius Mims. All of those guys are projected first rounders. So if you're Tennessee and you're at 7 and you're not going to, you're locked in on a tackle, there's almost no reason for you to stay. There's very little reason for you to stay, especially when you have teams like, okay, maybe the Vikings don't want to go to 8, they want to go to 7. Or maybe there's a team who wants to jump the Vikings and go to 7. There could even be, and I think this is not really bold. I could see it happening, but you could really see a team like the Bills or the Chiefs moving up to 7 and taking Odunze if they value him that highly, and they feel they're one receiver away. Then why would you not? And I think the Titans are definitely going to be listening to that pick. So I think, it's a high possibility that you get 7 trades out, 8 trades out, and 9 trades out.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there, and that would just add to just a bunch of movement that I think we're going to see anyway. And I think you're right. I think some of those guys in the back of the bus, like Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs, could be movers. We'll see how aggressive those guys get. And the Philadelphia Eagles at 22, seem like team nobody thinks they're staying at 22 because Howie Roseman's always moving around, and it's almost like he's just got to live up to the reputation of that at this point. Hey, let's take a timeout. We're live at Everbank Stadium. Did you see DeJuan Smoot might be headed to the Houston Texans, or at least there was a visit over there? Again, the Jags, I think people think like Smoot's a part of this team. He's a one-year deal. He's a free agent. He's not coming back to Jacksonville. They would have already re-signed him. So that adds to that pass rush, the depth there, the things that we're talking about when it comes to the Jags and what they could do tonight. Continued conversation about the NFL draft. Draft party tonight, draft night in Duval at 7 o'clock on Fox 30. We'll have a noon live shot from here on CBS 47, so we'll continue to give you reports throughout the day on TV, social media, and right here on the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Shacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Navigating to that perfect car can be a daunting task. Trust me, I understand, but if you want to find the perfect blend of sales and service for your automotive needs, look no further than the Tom Bush family of dealerships.
Here at Tom Bush, they do things right. Dating back to 1970, they've been a staple in the community, giving back and keeping everything local. With 4 different brands to choose from, BMW, Mazda, Volkswagen, and Mini, there's a car for every member of the family, and the customer service is second to none. Looking to add an electric vehicle to your fleet? Tom Bush remains at the forefront of new technology with plenty of staff on hand to walk you through the future of driving and help eligible customers file for that EV tax credit.
Whether you're looking for your future driver's first car or you want to step up to luxury and arrive in style, the Tom Bush family of dealership is the only stop that you need to make.
Stop by the showroom or check out the inventory at tombush.com.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
The UNF men's tennis team swoops to an A-Sun championship led by Coach of the Year Matt Lucas. The Ospreys battled over the weekend as the favorites and beat Stetson in the finals 4-0. The doubles was thrilling and eventually led to a critical point to begin the finals. UNF finished things off with a dominant singles performance. It's the third A-Sun championship for men's tennis and first since 2018. They will now advance to the NCAA tournament. For more Ospreys news and results in all sports, go to UNFOspreys.com.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability. Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part? They did it in one day. It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town, and I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one-card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One-card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
That's called a 9-box in the business. And really, if you look at the top 3 lines, it looks like can play some tic-tac-toe or bingo. Bingo across the top. And then the next 2 in the middle there, Brian Thomas and A.D. Mitchell, those are the most talked about names. Once you get back to Ladd McConkey and Pearsall and guys like that, Franklin, I think you're looking at players that would be second-round selections, or the Jags have traded back late in the first round if that's the way they are going to go. So I'd be surprised if they take any of those guys at 17. I'd actually be surprised if they take any of those guys in the first round, even if they traded back. I think if the Jags trade back, I feel like they're going corner, and there's a couple on their board that they think that would slip to them, and they'd be okay taking. So that's the way I handicap it, but there are a lot of different ways to handicap this thing as well. Here's what I like to do when we're curious about what a team or a situation and how it's going to play out, which is a bit unpredictable. And Jason Hamby, this is a new game for you, perhaps. All right. But it's a very simple game. What do we know or think we know about the Jags going into tonight? And so as you think about that a little bit, there's a lot of ways to go. I think we have, gathered a bunch of evidence over these last couple of months of where the Jags could lean and why we're talking about what we're talking about so much. What we know is they lost Calvin Ridley, which created a spot, because we also know they wanted Calvin Ridley to return. Mm-hmm. That's what they told us. And that's what the indication was. And I think it starts there, because that's why, hey, guys, or everybody in Jacksonville, why is this so wide receiver heavy? Why are you talking wide receiver? Why are you talking wide receiver? Well, that right there is why you're talking wide receiver. Now, I also think we know the Jags aren't bad at wide receiver. And one guy, Gabe Davis, I think Zay Jones is just being shoved aside. I'm not telling you he's an all-pro guy, but he's certainly a capable player who had a career year 2 years ago, and no different than Tyson Campbell in the respect that he lost a year due to injury last season. And when he was on the field, it seemed like their offense played better. We also know they have Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. They have weapons on offense. So we don't say they're all set, but we know they have people that are capable. And I'll also add this element. We also know Doug Peterson has won before without a star receiver. That number one, if you will, wide receiver. He did it in Philadelphia, and he won big. And I'm not telling you he's not a fan of that. I think every offensive guy would like that. But I don't think he thinks he needs it, Hamby. I think I don't think he's sitting there like the rest of us, like, hey, you need a number one. We get that on the chat a lot. Like, they need a number one wide receiver. And that is really a disconnect, I believe, inside Jags headquarters and out. I don't think anybody inside there is saying, including Trevor Lawrence, we had this conversation a couple of days ago, I don't think anybody's sitting there saying, we need a number one wide receiver or we're screwed.
No, I agree. And I think those are all things that we know. And I'm sure people who want corner would accuse me on my next point of saying this only to benefit my point. But the other thing that we know is that we have a new defensive coordinator. And we know that defensive coordinator loves to rush the passer. And we know he likes to get after the quarterback. We know he wants to be aggressive, which obviously you can use that as support for why we should go get a heavy press man specializing corner at 17. But of course, you can also use that to support why we should take another edge rusher. So I think Nielsen. I think that's one of that is what we know, but it's also one of the bigger question marks that I would have is how much impact is them bringing him in playing into what they do tonight.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think Trevor Lawrence is interesting here. We asked what Shad Khan's role is. I think you bring up a very good point of what Nielsen's role is and the impact. Like, do you bring him here and now you feel like you got to take care of him? And say, hey, we're going to set you up for success. Well, they kind of did, right? They got Eric Armstead. They brought in Darby. They brought in Savage. And they extended Josh Allen. It's not like they haven't taken care of Nielsen since he walked in the door. They've done a pretty good job of that. So, but I don't dismiss your point of, does he need something more? And let's go, so back to the no part. And you just hit on it, but let me punch this home. We know the Jags aren't deep at pass rusher. I just told you DeJuan Smoot, he ain't coming back. I mean, he's visiting the Houston Texans. They've lost some guys this offseason. They didn't have a lot of depth there last year. They got no sacks outside of those two guys, essentially, in the pass rush game. They do bring in Gibson. I like it. It's a pretty good signing, I think, but I don't know if I can rely on it. I don't feel great about that guy being your only guy. I don't feel great about Yasir Abdullah being the guy. I feel good about the bodies that they have, but I need to know more if a guy like Josh or Trayvon has to miss a couple of games, or if you just need another guy to help them out and pick up 4 or 5 sacks somewhere along the way. I give you Kansas City for an example. Go look at Chris Jones and what he's done the last couple of years. It's been excellent. But then look at Kansas City and what they've done around him. It's 5 sacks here, 4 sacks there, 6 sacks there, and that's it. They've got a bunch of guys going to get sacks that help out Chris Jones that have made them at times like the second or third best sacking team on defense in the National Football League. I think the Jags need to fill those holes a little bit more there and find that. We know this. They have very little depth behind Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker. I go back to now your cornerback point. This is why people love corner, and I understand it when we ask the question of what we know. We don't know enough. Mm-hmm. We really don't know much. You take their cornerback spot. Tyson Campbell, what do we know? We know he was good for 2 years and ascending, and we think we like him. We think. We don't know. Like, where's he going? Is he here in 2 years? Is he getting a deal? Is he as good as we think he is? Like, those are real questions. Ronald Darby, an aging player, nice player. Where's he even playing? And what's his role on the football team after you sign him? Darnell Savage goes from safety to the slot, it looks like. Is that going to be a good move? Question. We don't know. We've never seen him in a Jags uniform in this defense. You have other guys like Gregory Jr. and Buster Brown. What do we know about those guys? We know they've played a little bit. We think they like them okay. They've been they've been in their program. They haven't been in this system. But if you really take corner and you ask, what do you know about that cornerback room? It's the least you know out of any position on this football team, Hamby, which I think comes back to the reason why so many people are saying we need another corner because we don't know enough about what we have here. Yeah, and I think to that point, nobody, you and I don't think anybody would disagree with that. It's just, again, it's when you're going to get them on the field, and that's just some people. Based off of the second half of last season and watching Tyson when he did play, got a really, really bad taste in their mouth, especially in the Bucs game when Mike Evans burned him, right? And of course, I would argue to that point, he was coming back from a hamstring injury. He came back too soon. When he was fully healthy in 2022, he was a good football player, an ascending football player. Looked like he was a bona fide number 2 corner, almost a number 1. He played against the number 1s a lot of the times, sharing that role with Darius Williams. But I think the biggest reason that so many people want corner is because of the question mark around Tyson. And
I think that's just something where we're not going to know until we know tonight, because we have no idea what Nielsen thinks of him. We don't know how healthy he is. We don't know whether Baalke thinks he can get back to that player, be better than the player that he used to be. You've got to think that they know what they're going to get from Ronald Darby. You don't really sign a guy to that kind of a contract without knowing exactly what he's going to give you. Right? He might not have a huge floor, or a very deep floor, or a high ceiling, but you know what you're going to get. Tyson is the question mark.
Yeah, I think here's the deal. So you say all that, and I think we're agreeing here a little bit. But even after tonight, because of this class and where you're picking at 17, let's just say you stayed there and you got a corner. You name your corner whatever one you want. Even Arnold, even Mitchell, even if you want Higgins, DeJean. Again, you get a corner. The question of what do we know about the corners doesn't get answered. Mm-hmm. We still don't know. The question of pass rush can get answered because you've now added to depth. Now, how good is it? All that stuff. Like, there's still questions. There's always going to be about draft picks, but you now have added to your depth where you really don't have any right now, or very minimal. If you go get receiver, and especially like a big receiver, and one that you think you can pencil in on the outside, well, now you're filling a gap and saying, okay, we got that guy now.
Right.
Again, the how good part is a different answer and a different question, but at least we got the guy. I'm not convinced, because of where you're picking the corners, that we're going to say, okay, we now have, well, we're probably going to say we have the guy starting opposite of Tyson Campbell. But the bigger question is he even good enough to beat out a guy like Darby?
Right.
Like, if you were picking the best corner in the draft at number 7, you would kind of feel better about, like, this dude's a stud. Like, if you were getting Ramsey. I'll even go back to the Okudah draft. I know it didn't pan out. But if you were getting a guy like that, you'd be like, oh, yeah, plug and play, boom, day one. Like, I don't know if these corners are, like, blue-chip guys. I don't get the sense that they are. Doesn't mean they can't be good. Doesn't mean they can't help you out. I just think it's going to be a question, like, when these guys get on the field in August and play in games and preseason, like, okay, really, how good are they? Like, what's the impact? And, of course, naturally, because they're picked number 17th, they would play ahead of a guy like Darby or something like that. But I'm just telling you, I think you can check the box on, oh, we got the X receiver. Oh, we got definite pass rush help that can contribute, won't even have to do as much as, say, one of these other guys that you're demanding of in the first round. He can settle in, he can grow, he can develop, he can add to the room. Corner, that guy's got to be able to deliver, and I'm just not sure they're better than what the Jags have right now, because I don't know how good the Jags guys are at the cornerback spot. That's where I think all this mystery comes in for me. And why this love affair with the corner spot is not something that I've jumped onto as much. I really don't feel I'm not sure I'm going to feel a whole lot different if the Jags get corner in the first round or if they get corner in the second round about the prospect they take. Now, naturally, you would say, well, the guy in the first round is way better. Okay, maybe he is. I mean, he's obviously scouted to be better. But I go back to that 2020 draft, and there were like 6 of them taken before Trevon Diggs and Jalen Johnson, and those guys are better outside of, we said, like A.J. Terrell.
Right.
So it doesn't get, like, you can find a guy at 48 that's better than the guys in the first round. I don't feel like you're finding a better pass rusher at 48 that's better than the guys in the first round. I don't feel like you're finding a better wide receiver at 48 that's better than the guys in the first round, especially the top 17 picks. So that's where my mind goes. That's my reasoning why this cornerback conversation, while fascinating, I don't know if we answer the question the way we answer it in some other spots that we're looking for. It does not give us, in my opinion, a definitive or a more definitive, more conclusive answer about how this is going to help the Jaguars in 2024. And there is one other note about the cornerback room that does make it, again, this is a defense of anybody who thinks they're going corner. it's not just how the Jags cornerback room looks like this year, is we really have no idea what it looks like in 2 years or 3 years, because Tyson is still now a question mark, or has returned to be a question mark going into this year. Now, that could be answered by halfway through the season, but we're not going to have that answer right away. And without that, and with Darius Williams now gone, we really don't know what this makeup of the cornerback room and how good it is, not just in 24, but I would say in 25 and 26 projecting forward. It looks like it's a hole on the football team right now that just comes with a lot of doubt and curiosity and questions, which I guess that's partly what the draft you do. You try to answer some of those questions, and we'll see if the Jaguars are able to do it. There's no doubt, right, Caleb Williams is going number one. That is basically a foregone conclusion. We started the show today. Drake May, apparently the reports out of New England are they are taking Drake May, the New England Patriots. And I still find this fascinating, and I know we don't really care about quarterbacks as much, but this is wild that Jaden Daniels is going to go to Washington at number 2, and it's now like not even a conversation. This is now turned into it's Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, much like you would have said years ago it was Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston. Wild to me that Drake May, who was in that category of Caleb Williams all football season, all fall, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Drake May. Some people even said Drake May over Caleb Williams. Mm-hmm. And now he's the third guy, and it's almost like it's a done deal third guy. Like everybody has him being the third guy. I'm wondering if we get that surprise still. Does Washington take Drake May? Does J.J. McCarthy come into the fold more? Do people have it right that the quarterback order is Williams, Daniels, May, McCarthy? You think they have it right on the outside looking in, hours away from the NFL draft?
Yeah, I do. I do think they have it right. I think, I think Caleb Williams obviously locked in at 1. I think McCarthy is locked in at the 4th. Obviously, which team is the question mark. But then you can flip-flop those guys in the middle, Jaden Daniels and Drake May. It's just with all the reports, it's hard not to just go with it. I mean, this is verified guys saying that the Patriots love Drake May, and this is the same guys saying the Commanders love Jaden Daniels. And I don't think it's one of those things where too much where the combine and the pro day had that much of an impact, because I think from the jump a decent bit that these three guys were all, especially Jaden Daniels and May, were right kind of 2A, 2B, and just depending on preference. This is not your any kind of a thing where a guy's soaring up the boards. The guy that's soaring up the boards is J.J. McCarthy. Yeah. Jaden Daniels and May all season long were talked about as top 5 picks. It was just which teams would be there when they would go. So that's why I think J.J. McCarthy is locked in as the 4th quarterback off of the board. It's just whether a team will move up to get him or not. And, then the question becomes, if you're Drake May and Jaden Daniels, which team do you want to go to? Obviously you don't have a say, but is there a possibility where Jaden Daniels is seeing all these things that he's going to go to the Commanders at 2, and he's hoping they take Drake May and he goes to the Patriots, or vice versa? I think that's an interesting kind of part of this.
Yeah. I got a feeling. I don't know. I just go through the years, right? I mean, you got the 21 draft. You got Trevor, and you got Zach Wilson. You got Trey Lance. You got Mac Jones. Was all that Mac Jones going to be the 3rd guy? Zach Wilson, was he going to be the 2nd guy? Justin Fields was in that mix, of course, and I thought Justin Fields was the 2nd best quarterback in that draft. So I don't know. I got a feeling with all this stuff, the quarterbacks have been a little prima donna-y, if you will. At least their camps have, when it comes to the Caleb Williams stuff and the Daniel stuff. I think it's going to be a little bit different than people say. And that could mean like a guy like Drake May just slides way down. Or a guy like McCarthy isn't even taken in the top 15 picks. I'm just not as convinced I mean, heck, Bo Nix now, it's hard to find him outside the top 20, and that seems like desperation just to go say, I got to get a quarterback if he's the fifth one off the board. I mean, he's not a top 15 pick in this draft. Talk about overdrafting.
Yeah.
I'd be stunned if Bo Nix is a top 15 guy. So, or at least people would measure him up that way. That's severe overdrafting, which is a dangerous thing to do. So I think the quarterback. I mean, listen, Williams is going to go number one. I mean, Chicago's basically said it. I mean, they got their teammates and stuff going to pro days, and they've got guys going out to dinner. I mean, that thing's a done deal. I get that. I think 2, 3, and 4 are a bit more interesting, and maybe it's right that Jaden Daniels has gone up. Maybe May's still in the mix, or maybe the Mays and the McCarthys of the world really do slip some and get further down the board than some people think. So I think the quarterback stuff is fascinating, and also, again, we'd say impacts the Jags. If they do shove the Bo Nixes of the world up there, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks are somehow taken, Penix could be one of these guys. In the first 14 picks, well, now that just slides better players on down to you at number 17, and most likely the Jags wouldn't have to move, or you get a lot more trade movement going up to get guys that are slipping to number 12 or 13 or whatever it might be. Lot of intrigue in this draft 2024. And when I say intrigue and mystery, I feel like that means people are a little unsure of the actual talent and where they should fall, which means inside buildings and war rooms, these guys have more of a better understanding of where the collection of talent lies. Are there 12 really good players in the first round? Are there 18? Are there 22? Like, where does that number fit in the eyes of GMs around the National Football League? I think that number's probably a lot different, or decently different, than what most people would say on the outside world. Let's take a time out. Hey, when we come back, we got a conversation with Billy Horschel coming off a big win. He jumps in on the Jags conversation, too. And also back to some NFL talk with our own mock draft. Hamby wants to do a mock draft. I think we might even do one live. I think Hamby has his own that he wants roasted. Austen Lane joining us from Las Vegas. That's coming up in just a bit. And much, much more draft coverage on the way as we talk up and down and all around this number 17 pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It'll happen tonight around 10:15. We'll be live on Fox 30 at that time. What's going to go on in the War Room? And the War Room has changed. That's the old one. The new one is inside the Miller Electric Center. Jags are headquartered in a new building for the 2024 NFL Draft. I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 0.9% for eligible buyers on Terrains, and no payments for 90 days. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
What started out as better people, better projects just keeps getting, well, better. That's Better Exterior Solutions, ready to help you create a better outdoor experience. Check this out. Motorized pergolas are the latest in technology to transform your outdoor space. Beautiful day? Let the sun shine through. Summer rainstorm? These pergola systems close automatically to keep the weather out. From residential to commercial uses, Better Exterior Solutions has products customized to meet virtually any existing architectural structure. With retractable awnings, screens, and hurricane shutters too, if you want unparalleled quality and expertise, you need Better Exterior Solutions. Get a free estimate by visiting betterexteriors.com or calling 904-902-4999. Better Exterior Solutions. Experience better.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
It's the fishing tournament everyone wants to get in, and it's time for you to register. More than 650 boats entered last summer in the Daly's Old School Kingfish Shootout presented by Yellowfin. Mark the calendar now, June 8th. This is fun for the entire family, and everyone has a chance to win big. Limited boundaries, no bait buying, no checkout. Cash prizes for the top 25 places, cash prizes for the top 10 lady anglers, and prizes for the top 15 junior anglers. The grand prize, this Yellowfin Bay boat with a 200 horsepower Yamaha and Ameritrail trailer. The value, over $100,000. It's the Daly's Old School Kingfish Shootout. Early entry until the end of May is open and $250. If you don't catch the big one, don't worry. Just catch any size kingfish and have a chance to win $10,000 with the Nimnik Lucky Ticket. OldSchoolKingfish.com. Register early until May 31st at OldSchoolKingfish.com.
New to town or always been in town? Everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martineaus get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza, some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're going to love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us, and at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations, Donato's Pizza. Every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, welcome back. As you take a look high above Everbank Stadium, Brent Martineau along with Jason Hamby. We're joined by Austen Lane coming up in the noon hour from Las Vegas. Obviously, a few hours behind he is. As we get ready for this draft night in Duval special, and the Jaguars obviously won't be on the clock until about 10 o'clock, so some 12 hours from now. So there's a lot of time to kill between now and then, and they could get on the clock even earlier than that, of course. What is going to happen? Well, we've been talking about this now for a couple of months, really ever since the Combine. And, that's a little bit another part of this. And, hey, how's the leaf blowing going back over there? Hamby, can you hear it loud and clear, or we sound okay? I might be all dusty in a minute.
No, you're good.
Okay. Well, I can't do anything about it, but interesting day to leaf blow. It's not really leaf blowing. They're actually doing some construction work nearby. So I won't be covered in leaves. I'd be covered in dust instead, if that's the case. But they're doing a nice job keeping it all in one area. I'll give you play-by-play of the leaf blower if you need it. Until then, one other thing that I just did this game with you. What do we know about what the Jags could do, are going to do, need to do? The other thing is, what are the clues that we have that they've given us? And I think last week the clues came pretty. If you really go back to the Combine, I don't think we got too many clues, because I think they threw us for a little bit of a curveball. It sounded like Darius Williams was coming back on the team, and like 3 weeks later, he was off the team. So those clues were interesting. Now, Rayshon Jenkins, we never thought was going to be a major part of it. But I think that, hey, Hamby, talk to me a little bit. Are you on the air? You're texting me, and we're still on the bump shot. Did you lose me?
No, I got you. You're up.
Oh, okay. I see. I know what you're talking. We'll get to the Billy Horschel thing. You're going to have to take that bump shot a little bit. I'll direct you live here. Sorry. I wanted to kill some of that leaf blowing time before. I see why you were doing that now. We got it. But let's go back to the clues real quick, and then we'll get to the Billy Horschel conversation in just a moment. All we were talking about with the corners, Darius Williams, I didn't think we learned too much from the combine. I think free agency, we learned a whole bunch. I mean, the clues were there, right? They covered up center. They weren't going to go with the kid out of Oregon anymore. That's crystal clear. They went and got Gabe Davis. So they solidified receiver, playmaker, at least to be content enough if things didn't go their way. They didn't pigeonhole themselves. They re-signed Ezra Cleveland. They weren't going guard. They restructured Sheriff. That means he's coming back. They didn't move Cam Robinson. Those are clues of what they're going to do. They're not doing anything on the offensive line in the first round. I can't see it happening unless they make a move. Defensively, they bring in Eric Armstead. Okay, well, there's the clue. They're not going to probably go defensive tackle. Could, but probably not. They didn't do much from a pass rush standpoint outside of extending Josh Allen. And then they brought in some corners to be in the mix of what Nielsen wants to do. Then we go back to the draft luncheon. What are the clues that we're getting? Well, those clues are 12, 13, 14. Those numbers reiterated a few times. Could we move up and get our guy? 3 or 4 guys that we might like. That top 10, probably not. No indication that the Jags are going to go in the top 10. A very transparent news conference with Baalke and Peterson, and you just didn't leave there thinking they're going to go up and get a Dunze at number 8. Not saying it can't happen, just didn't feel like it would happen. They know what teams want to trade back. I would think Atlanta and Chicago are teams that potentially could move back. They have a feel for that. Those are more clues that we're gathering of what the Jaguars could do. But even with all that said, at 17, you can have all the clues you want, but we're still in mystery mode here in Jacksonville, some 11 hours away from when the Jaguars will pick number 17 overall in the 2024 NFL Draft. So I find that part pretty interesting. Did I leave out any clues? Anything that indicates, Hamby, that, hey, wait a minute, they did tell us this. Don't forget that this was part of the equation the last few months during the draft cycle.
No, I mean, I can't think of anything. I'm replaying all of the Baalke and Doug sound bites in my mind. The one thing that I've always been curious about with Baalke was just how much he is committed to taking the best player available. And I don't even think that, to be honest with you, I don't think that Baalke's definition of that is the same as everybody else's, because he talked about need so much in that press conference. It seemed like it came up in almost every answer that he gave. He talked about addressing the need, whatever fits the need. But he also always, and this has gone back for years, has talked about taking the best player available. And I think that we saw that in the first round of last year. Taking Anton Harrison was a little bit of that, where that need, that it didn't feel like to us that we had a gap at tackle. Now, we could have seen that we could have used an upgrade, but Baalke says, okay, he believes that Anton is the best player available at 28, and it's something where he can put him in right away, especially with the Cam Robinson suspension at the time, and so he takes him. So, yeah, I don't really know what Baalke really means when he thinks best player available, because, everybody else, best player available is at any position. Well, we know that's not what Baalke means.
Yeah.
We know that. But how much does that play in to where we're at 17? And I think, and it goes, my final thought on it is when we did a little earlier exercise, what teams impact what the Jags do the most. I feel like you could argue that the way Baalke drafts, he's going to be impacted towards the top no matter who is there, because he's so dependent on, he talked all about the draft board. You just got to play it by ear, and it's like, I feel like some teams have 1-2 guys they're looking for. They have, if they're one guy's taken, they take option B. I feel like Baalke's got a lot of different guys.
Well, that's interesting. I don't know if he has as many as you think he does, because he quietly said something I don't think many people picked up on, but I'm pretty sure I heard it in that draft luncheon. He's like, he said early in that one of the comments, like 3-4 guys. So, like, I feel like just like last year when he indicated they have 3 guys that they really like in that spot, which was, to me, very revealing. Now you had to figure it out. And we spent the whole week after that trying to figure it out. And I don't know if we got on Anton Harrison, by the way. Some of you might have, but I didn't. I know that. But I think he said 3 or 4. So I think that's kind of a little bit of an MO of what they try to do, is they try to get to 3 or 4 players, where they're like, okay, we really like this group in here, and if they're available, or if we need to move up, or if we can move back, or if we stick and get one of those guys, we're extremely happy. And that's probably pretty commonplace. I get what you're saying. Like, best player available does bring in a lot of other players in positions. My guess, man, if you look at their board, if you went in there, there are probably 3 or 4 guys at the top of their board, and then there's space, and it has all those other guys in there at all these other various positions. So I bet they're a little bit more dialed in than you might think to that. You mentioned something that's interesting that we haven't brought up. It was a year ago today, or maybe it was the day before the draft, but it was, I think, a year ago this morning that the news broke that Cam Robinson was going to be suspended for 4 games, most likely. They didn't know exactly how long at the time. Could have been anywhere from 2 to 6 games. It ended up being 4 games. And we still really don't know how much that impacted the move to get Anton Harrison, because they could have made the argument to get Anton Harrison anyway, because Jawan Taylor had left in free agency. But it was a wild set of circumstances. I don't see any news like that coming down. That doesn't mean nothing is happening inside the building. We got the news of that. But that wasn't something that they, like, announced. That was breaking news that other people were able to get. You wonder all the time, and I say this stuff, and I'm just saying it as a scenario, not as a report. Like, I think a guy like Brandon Sheriff, you have no idea if he entered the building and said, you know what, I've played this game long enough. I'm good. I don't feel it. I'm done. And how much would that change what you do? Now, there's not a lot of that going on here in Jacksonville. Yeah, a lot of young players, they've got newly extended players. I don't see a lot of that going on. But let's just say for just another one, like Zay Jones, were to say, you know what, I'm just not feeling it. I mean, I was banged up last year. Last year was a kind of a tumultuous year in a lot of different ways, a bunch of adversity. I'm out. Well, would that change what the Jags do? You know? So, again, these are not things that are really happening, at least that we know of. But you wonder if some of those things do creep up and come up, having the last week, having the last couple of days, things that they know about, you get a heads up on that changes your draft board. And you mentioned, and Cam Robinson brought that up to me, like that was a wild bit of news that all of a sudden shifted the thinking, oh, they got to go get a left tackle. And even me at that point, I was still unconvinced that they were going to get an offensive lineman, because it felt so dumb and short-sighted to say the reason why you're now going to get an offensive lineman is because you're going to miss Cam Robinson for 4 games.
Right.
Well, what happens if you were playing Walker Little at right tackle after that? You're going to draft a kid in Anton Harrison who hadn't played right tackle. Now, he ended up being great over there, but he hadn't played right tackle. It's like, wait a minute, you're going to rent a first-round pick for 4 games?
Right.
That doesn't make sense, right? So there was a lot of things that were a bit illogical to me. In hindsight, it does make more sense. They obviously weren't committed to Walker Little playing right tackle. They actually wanted him to play a little bit of left guard and see if he could work out there. They obviously didn't have Jawan Taylor anymore. They knew Cam was probably coming back after 4 games, and they were keeping him. They weren't going to move on from him. So it made some sense. Now, a year later, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I was still all in on the move, because all the way up until the regular season, what I was saying is, you're asking a guy that's never really played right tackle. He played like 1 game there in college to go play right tackle in the NFL. To me, that seems very dangerous. But in hindsight, I think we have to applaud the Jags and maybe the coaching staff, and especially Anton Harrison, for being able to do it, because it looks just fine. There are some people that down the road would like to move Anton Harrison back to left tackle. Quite frankly, I'm like, you got your right tackle, let's leave him there.
Right.
At this stage. I don't want to see the guy bouncing around. But it really worked out for the Jags. And I don't know if, again, this isn't, Brent defending Baalke again, but I really don't know because of the sum of the draft, 13 picks, and the impact that the rest of the draft made. I think this draft gets hammered. Last year's 2023. What I think people dismiss is, shoot, man, you got to hit in the first round. We've been talking about that for 15 years around here. And it looks like they did hit in the first round. So let's not bypass that part of it. They not only hit in the first round, they acquired a couple extra picks. They got Antonio Johnson, and they moved a guy that hadn't even played right tackle before in college much to play right tackle in the NFL, and it looks like he did a damn good job, and he's going to be a good player. Mm-hmm. Like, I think we leave that part of the story out quite a bit on Anton Harrison and what happened last year for this front office, for this coaching staff, and there's plenty to be scrutinized elsewhere in that draft. But I think we just say, oh, yeah, that's fine. Everybody could have done that. Wait a minute. Nobody's done that in Jacksonville for 15 years. Mm-hmm. Like, it's been really hard to hit in the first round. And it's been a big reason why this thing has been a mess in Jacksonville for a long time. So let's not lose sight of the fact that it looks like the Jags, with their 24-year-old quarterback, have a 22-year-old offensive lineman that can play right or left side, and it looks like he's going to be pretty good for a long time to come, and they got him at the back end of the first round. Usually you find those kind of guys in the top 10. Pretty good. Pretty good right there. Hey, you know who else is pretty good? Billy Horschel. And we had a chance to catch up with him just yesterday ahead of the Zurich Classic. He's won this event 2 times. He won down in the Dominican Republic last week. He loves football, too, so we asked him who we think the Jags are going to take, even though he's been a little bit out of the loop on that. But right now, as we take a look high atop Everbank Stadium, where the draft party will be, draft night in Duval, Billy Horschel is teeing it up in New Orleans, and we had a chance to catch up with him about his recent success, especially coming off some disappointment in the last year with his golf game. He's made it back to the top in the winner's circle and won for the 8th time on the PGA Tour.
I always love coming here. It's such, as I said many times, it feels like a second home to me. I know a lot of the people I've known for over the years have become family. And then also coming off a win, coming off a lot of momentum, coming to a place I've had success. I'm looking forward to a great week.
Does that happen after you win events, like you almost become an adopted guy in that city, that town for that tournament? I mean, do those relationships last a long time?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously I've got 2 wins here, but there's people I've met that have a lot of influence in the town and are really well known. And so it introduced me to a lot of other people. And so, yeah, there's a lot of people I know in this town that over the years have become friends, to close friends, to confidants, to almost like family now.
Well, we'll talk more about this event because I think it's a fun event that you have coming up, and I know you're playing with a close friend as well in this event. But go back to last week. Did this come out of nowhere for you, or was it brewing, especially with that final round 63?
No, this was brewing all year. Statistically, if you look at my stats, they're really good across the board. And so I knew I was playing some good golf. I had played well down in Cognizant, down in Palm Beach. I had played well at Valspar in Tampa, played well in Houston. I didn't play that bad in at Players. The game was there. I was a little bit of a mental midget that week, wanting to play well and sort of got my own way because I live there. It means so much to me. But this has been brewing for a while, and that's pretty much the main reason I went down to Corrales. Not that you don't go to every tournament wanting to win, but I could easily have taken that week off. But I knew I was playing well. I knew my game was in a good spot, and I'm like, I want to go down there, and I want to see if I can knock off a victory and add some more momentum to what I've already had over the last month and a half.
Was that kind of a magical Sunday when you shoot 63? And I think some of the images I saw there, it looked like a pretty windy day, too.
Yeah, listen, I mean, any day you shoot around the 63, it's a pretty magical day. But to do it on Sunday and some, I would say, some tough conditions with the way the wind was blowing, it was a very special day. And, things have to go your way a little bit. I made some really long putts that went in, and so it was just one of those days that just happened meant to be.
Billy Horschel hanging out with us as he preps for the Zurich Classic, another event coming up, and he's coming off a win, his 8th win, by the way, on the PGA Tour, which is pretty cool. But first one in a couple of years, Billy, and you got a lot of love, I think, on social media. You have been very transparent. You always are about your feelings and where your golf game was at about a year ago. It seemed like social media and the golf world rallied around this win for you, almost in comeback fashion.
Social media can be very a crazy world, and you can one day have all the love in the world, the next day it can be completely against you. So, anytime you can get love on the social media, that's always a good thing, and I'll take it.
Did it feel a little bit like a comeback for you, where your golf game was, over the last couple of years at times?
I don't know if it was a comeback. I think it was just a progression of where all the hard work I've been putting in over the last year, it's been coming. It's been obviously not as quick and as I would like it to be, but I've been taking little baby steps and moving in the right direction for a while now. So, we can call it a comeback from where I was, roughly 11 months ago. But I feel like this was just, it was coming. It was just a matter of time.
Was that 11-month-ago stretch? I'm sure you're being asked a lot about it, but was that like a rock bottom for you from your golf career, or how do you view that, or is it just part of the journey?
I don't know if it was rock bottom, but I think it's just part of the journey, and a journey I didn't think that I would, ever really have. I think, we think we're invisible to a certain point out here, especially when, you played so well for so long over a period of time, and you've been in the big events, and then, you struggle at the beginning of last year, and then you have ultimately an awful day at a tournament that you had just won, 12 months prior. You shoot 84, and it was just, one of the lowest points in my golf career. But I never once doubted that I didn't have the ability anymore, or I couldn't get back to where I wanted to be. I just knew it was just going to be a lot longer and a little bit more of a struggle to get to where I want to be. And I'm still not there, but we're moving in the right direction. And as long as we're moving and things are progressing forward, I'm always very content with that.
You can be a hot golfer. Obviously, the FedEx Cup playoffs will show us that from years ago. Do you sense that when you're playing good? I mean, do you feel like you're about to go on a run here?
I hope so. I mean, I think over time you sort of try not to get too far ahead of yourself. And right now I'm just continuing to try and get better every day, trying to improve. And if that leads to better play and more victories here in the near future, I'll take it. But I don't think anyone's going to go on a run like Scotty Scheffler has over the last couple months, or even over the last 2+ years.
You're a great ambassador for the game, so let me stay on that for a couple of moments. Some quick hitters. Scotty's run. I mean, how incredible is this? Everybody's compared it to Tiger. Whatever that is, doesn't matter. It's an unreal run. I mean, he's basically won almost 5 tournaments in a row if it weren't for a playoff in Houston.
You're exactly right. I think we got to be careful to compare it to Tiger. I think we're doing a disservice to both the golfers. Tiger, what he's done, he's Mount Everest. He's a pinnacle, and I understand why we always want to compare it to him. But I think we really need to truly put in perspective what Scotty's done over these last 2+ years. I think we got to compare it to where we are in the generation of golf right now. Compare it to Rory McIlroy's run. Compare it to Jason Day's run. Compare it to Dustin Johnson, John Rahm's run. Let's compare it to those guys first, because that's where it's easily capable of comparing it to. And then if Scotty continues to play at this level for the next couple of years, then we can start really, truly comparing it to Tiger.
Well, you said generation. Speaking of a guy who could almost be your kid now, and definitely could be mine, Miles Russell from Jacksonville and Jax Beach. Did you catch some of that story? And how amazing was that? How capturing was that for the golf world this past weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I was paying attention to it a little bit down in Corrales, and obviously he was being talked about a little bit down there. But yeah, I mean, I surely wasn't good enough at 15 to play in a Korn Ferry Tour event, let alone make a cut and even make a finish top 25. So what he did last week was truly impressive. Obviously, the future looks really bright for him. Like anything in the world today, it's, I just hope we let the kid be a kid and let him grow up and decide, what he wants to do and everything, because we all know the media can, sort of latch on to really good things and things could turn in a different way. But the kid has a bright future and he's super talented. I haven't met him, but I just know from talking to other people in Jacksonville and other pros that have played with him, he's an impressive player at 15.
Hey, the Players' Championship, I thought was maybe the best week for golf in like a couple of years. If you go back to that month, the weather was unreal, right? The crowds were unreal. Scotty was unreal. The leaderboard was unreal. I mean, it was great. But we're on a great run right now. Given all that's happened in golf in the last couple of years, do you feel like we've settled into back to the sport a little bit?
No, we're nowhere close to being settled back into this sport. When we have, discussions with PIF and still trying to figure out what's going to happen, whether there's going to be an agreement with PIF and the PGA Tour. If there's not an agreement, then what does golf look like? Listen, we're far from being settled in this game, in this golf world right now. I think there's a lot of people that want to get it settled sooner. I think there's a push to get it settled so we can have some, I say continuity, but just some semblance of normalness of just focusing on the golf and solely on the golf, not focused on the money or focusing on the bickering between the two competitive tours or anything like that. So the sooner this all can get resolved, or at least have a path of what golf's going to look like, the better golf's going to be, and the sooner golf will get back to normalcy.
This Zurich Classic that you've won a couple of times is a little bit abnormal golf. It's team golf. You got walk-up songs going onto the tee box. How much fun is this event, and why have you done so well?
Listen, I've had a couple of great partners. I can't deny that. But I think it's just one of those weeks where everyone's is more enjoyable. You got a partner out there instead of you versus 155 other golfers. It's just one of those weeks where you can sort of, let your guard down a little bit and just enjoy, playing with a buddy, playing with a friend, and trying to compete against, 158 other golfers out there. So it's a fun week. I love being here. They've made this event truly something special once they went to this team format. And I think you see that over the years. We may not get the constant top players on a regular basis, but we're getting, every year some of the top players. And when you have a guy like Rory McIlroy this year coming in for the first time to play it with Shane Lowry, it just shows you what this event is and the support and momentum it has behind it amongst the PGA Tour players.
You're playing with Tyson Alexander. You probably played a lot of golf with him, right?
Yes, I played a lot with Tyson.
Is that good? You guys a good group, good pairing? I mean, can you yin and yang a little bit?
We're going to yin and yang just perfectly. His game's coming around. He's been playing some good golf. The results don't show how well he's playing, so very similar to what my game was probably about a month ago. So I'm excited about it. I've known Tyson since we were in college together. He's a great kid. I love him to death. Bright future, and we're going to have a great time out there, and hopefully it leads to something special on Sunday.
Well, hopefully you go low here this weekend. Hopefully the Jags hit a home run in their picks. Who the Jags taking at number 17, man? Who do you want for Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, man, you know what? I haven't truly looked too hard at our Jags team. I would say we probably need something along the offensive line. I think the offensive line wasn't nearly as solid last year. I think the running back position looks good. I know we got rid of Calvin Ridley. I know we brought in another wide receiver. I can't think off the top of my head.
Gabe Davis, yeah.
Gabe Davis. So, I think we need to probably, get a little stronger on the offensive line. And offensive defensive line, you can never go wrong there. Maybe another really strong linebacker, outside edge rusher possibly. And I think if you could probably, get a speedster on the outside, maybe late in the round, somebody who's got big, upside to sort of open up the run game and have a little bit more of the underneath passing, be a little bit more successful. I think we'll be good. But teams are going in the right direction. Obviously, I think last year, like a lot of Jags fans, we're disappointed to see the team not do as well as they did the previous year. But there's a bright future there. Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson, I think it's a great combo. And I think, if we have a good draft that we can add to the team already, I think it's going to be, another great season in store.
That's pretty good analysis, man. You go low this weekend. We'll worry about pretending to be the GM of the Jags here on the airwaves. And say hello to the family. Hope everybody's doing well, and good luck this week.
We'll do. Thanks, Brent.
All right, that is Billy Horschel, and this is the Jaguars draft party. It is free tonight. Going to be jam-packed when the Jags make their 17th overall selection or whatever pick they make. Gates open at 6 o'clock, free to go. You have to pre-register on the website, and we will be right back on the Brent and Austen Show. If you wanted my mock, you'll get my mock.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, It's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability.
Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part, they did it in one day.
It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jacks to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jacks in your app store either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jacks 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms. Whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV, you can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry, we still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jacks 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access.
Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence.
You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Well, it's our draft night in Duval special, and it's not just a night. It started in the morning. It will go all day. It'll be on TV coming up in just a little bit on CBS 47, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock, our draft night in Duval special, which will be on Fox 30, presented by Everbank. All our coverage this week presented by Everbank of the NFL Draft. It can also be seen here on our Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. And the network can be found on the Action News Jax app at actionnewsjax.com. I get asked this a lot. Hey, can we see that show for out of town? Can we see this? Can we see that? Well, here's the answer. Yes, you can. 7 to 8 o'clock tonight. You can obviously see our show all over the globe. Well, you can see that show 7 to 8 all over the globe tonight on the new network. That's part of what we're doing here with this 24/7 network. We've started a new morning show, by the way. You can catch that, Miller and Moulton, in the morning, 6 a.m. until 10 a.m., and more coverage soon to come on the network. So find it. If you can't be here locally and watch it on TV, if you're not at the party, you can easily get it on the Action News Jax app and actionnewsjax.com. That one will not play on all the social media channels. This show does, but you can only find that one on the actual network, the streaming network, which is on actionnewsjax.com and the Action News Jax app. Hopefully that makes some sense to you. But the bottom line is, you can find it. There's a lot going on, Hamby. I mean, I'm trying to do a TV hit, trying to host a show. I forgot
you going live,
when I was supposed to toss to Billy Horschel. I'm trying not to sweat too much so I can be on TV. I kind of taped it during the Billy Horschel interview. That's what I did. So I'm not going to go live. That's just between us. Okay, that's between us and the millions of people now watching. How's the chat doing today? Because the glare, the one problem with doing a show like this, outside of having jeans on and sweating, and really that's it. Because I like listening to the music and being out here at Everbank Stadium. It's kind of fun. It's a good vibe. But the one bad thing is the glare is everywhere. And I get afraid that like my computer is going to like burn out. So I've got a covering over my computer. So it's an operation here out here, folks. Like, this isn't like a cast of thousands. This is me out here. So I can't see the chat is what I'm getting at.
I'll highlight a couple things.
All right, what do we got?
If we go back to the very beginning, we had a little bit of hype around Trey Hendrickson. David Kilkenny saying it, would be awesome, but he wants and probably deserves a bigger contract than Josh Allen. Robert Astert says Baalke will draft either the best D tackle or corner. Matt Jones is a big Cooper DeJean fan. Couple of guys.
And you wonder if he's being a little facetious.
Well, he said need to draft Cooper. He's going to be Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu impact kind of player, which, okay. We got some big fans of Neighbors and of Dunze. Ramo Galix just says extend Trevor Lawrence. We're with you, buddy. Let's see here. And Matt Jones then says Xavier Worthy to the Jaguars. Wouldn't be mad about it. He has a potential to be Tyreek Hill kind of impact. We got some Jared Verse in there. And Delphonic says that shirt is fire, Brent.
There we go. Well, Delphonic might get it. He's winning the vote for Shock Your Mock. He's in the finals against Tax Doctor 1, and right now he's winning with a good 70% of the vote. And we have the most votes yet here on the finals, so that goes until, I think, 5 o'clock tonight. I put it out as a 24-hour period ending right before the draft, and you have until 5 o'clock to vote. You can do that on my Twitter handle. You can throw in a vote here, but at 70 to 30% right now, I'm not sure you're going to sway the vote too much. One or two people in the message. But hey, every vote counts. So if you want to do that, just put really left or right from yesterday. See, so you got to go find it on social media. It's the easiest way to do it. But anyway, we'll have our Shock Your Mock winner coming up tomorrow. We'll be at String Sports Brewery tomorrow, so come have a draft with us as we talk about the draft after the Jaguars pick, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m., and you can spend some lunchtime with us in Springfield and get away early on the weekend and get ready for the rest of the draft. So come hang out with us tomorrow from String Sports Brewery. And then a week from tomorrow, we've got our big live audience that we're hoping, doesn't have to be too big, but we're hoping some people come down to Best Bet St. Augustine. Brunch with Brent and Austen, free brunch. We're going to have some giveaways. Maybe this shirt could be included in that giveaway pile, but there's even more with contesting and prizing. And then just hang out with us for the show at Best Bet St. Augustine off 95 exit 311. So hopefully see you there next Friday. Put it on the calendar, make the plans, tell the boss, all those things. But let's have some fun next Friday, as that's Kentucky Derby weekend as well. And I'm even buying you a Superfecta ticket, so you can come down and basically get a lottery ticket for Saturday's race, and maybe you win big and hopefully share with us. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane joining us from Vegas in a bit. Jason Hamby as well. Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown signed by the Detroit Lions yesterday. I don't know if there's significance on their end of signing when they did, taking care of the business side of it. The Jags just did this a couple of weeks ago with Josh Allen. There's conversations ramped up or heating up, you would suspect, with Trevor Lawrence. Is there any way they would announce this weekend around the draft that Trevor Lawrence has got an extension? Do you think that's coming in the next couple of weeks? Maybe as the stadium deal gets done, which we hear is now in the middle of May. Like, keep an eye on May 14th for that to be finished up and presented to City Council. So is it that imminent, or is it going to wait until football time, Hamby? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to claim to have any kind of... The quick answer is I have no idea. I would be shocked, though, if it was tonight or today. I would be shocked if it was any time before in the next couple of months. I know Baalke said they're really working towards it. They really want to get it done. They're progressing. They've been in talks. And all those things are very positive. And that's why we think that, it could be imminent. It's not if, but when. And I agree with that. I just... I'm still not 100% sold that this is going to happen before the season. I'm not. And if I was going to bet on it, of course I would say that I think it's going to happen before the season. Most logically would be before, preseason in training camp, so he can be fully and solely focused on those things. So then we will be looking at, around July, I would assume. But I can't see it getting done in the next little bit. I wouldn't be completely shocked. Before the Baalke luncheon last week, I would have thought he was going to wait till after the season. I really did think he was going to wait till then, just because that was the precedent that he set with Josh, and that's kind of just the way things had gone around here, especially with the fact that on paper, Trevor's has 2 more years. He's got the 4th, and he's got the player option for the 5th. I would love for them to get it done sooner than later. I just, it's hard to get a feel for that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, who knows? I just think why are deals getting done before the draft? Like, what people would say is, like, how do you even have time to negotiate that? Well, listen, they got more time than you think. I mean, Casey Kurtz told us earlier this week, Trent Baalke went for a 2.5-hour walk last week, and he was able to see him out there on the streets of Jacksonville. Let's not pretend like these guys don't have 24 hours in a day. They get their sleep, they do their work, but there's time to do other things, okay? I mean, you can't just stare at a board all day because the draft is looming. That being said, why is it happening? Like, why are these extensions going on now? I haven't paid much attention to that around the league over the years. I feel like this is an uncommon time for deals to get announced. I feel like there are markers in my mind over the years that make sense. Labor Day was always a thing for me. I used to always say, hey, somebody's going to get signed on Labor Day. Somebody's going to get signed on, like Miles Jack did, others did. They tried to get Allen Robinson done around that time right before the season. We're seeing the big quarterbacks get their deal done right before the season or right before training camp. So that makes some sense. Get it out of the way. You don't want to play with that looming and people thinking about it. Lock it in. Around franchise tag season, you get it. You now have until June or whatever else to get the deal done. So we see an Evan Ingram deal linger. But this time around, we saw Josh Allen's deal get done soon. Why did it get done soon? Why would Trevor Lawrence's deal get done sooner than later? I don't know all the answers to that. We have our guesses. We've discussed it. From the stadium deal coming up, does it make sense to continue momentum as that thing is about to get hopefully approved for everybody here inside Jags headquarters and the people that are for it in the city of Jacksonville? Maybe it does. Does it make sense to get him locked up and know where the money's going before you potentially move for an Ayuk or a Higgins or somebody like that, if you think that deal could happen? Well, we've wondered that. I don't see how the draft actually impacts why you would sign these guys a day earlier if you're not going to go sign another big-name player. I mean, we know the draft pool money, what exists. Like, you can plan for that for months and months. The Jags have plenty of it. So I don't think Trevor's deal is linked to that at all. So anyway, I just... Are they trying to make this one hell of a weekend for Trevor Lawrence, potentially? Go get him a receiver in some capacity and then ink him a deal. Like, I don't know. I'm not telling you it's going to happen. I'm just looking around the league, and I'm looking at the Josh Allen thing, and I'm saying, I get the draft is happening, and there's a lot going on there, but these other things are still getting done somehow. So it can't be out of the question. Now, I think we're now getting to a point where it's noon on Thursday, and they do get very busy over the next 72 to 96 hours with undrafted free agency that comes right after the draft. This would really be stunning if they were to announce a deal anytime in the next 4 days now with Trevor Lawrence. Like, I get that. But the next mile marker is potentially that stadium stuff in the middle of May. So, like, I am fully now expecting Hamby. This is how my life works, okay? You map things out on the calendar. Like, we know the schedule's coming out in early May. Obviously, we know the draft. Like, it sucks the draft's tonight in many respects because the kids play their final regular season high school baseball, softball game, and I can't be there to watch it. So I hate it. But we also know it's coming, and we plan for it. Obviously, the coaches don't schedule around it to my liking, but I get it. That's what happens in my life, at least at this stage of my life. The other thing is schedule coming out. Okay, it's coming out May 9th or May 16th, I would think. It's a Thursday night, usually NFL Network, ESPN, they make it a big deal. It's been a Thursday night at like 8 o'clock. I think we've learned that. Is it coming out a week prior, like May 2nd? That'd be next Thursday. I doubt it. I think they give it a little time. So we're kind of figuring these things out. We know it's coming. The other thing is this stadium deal is getting closer and closer. The quieter it gets, the closer it gets, in my estimation. I think there's some new information out in the last day or so. But middle of May is kind of the next big step, it appears, in the stadium deal. But
Hamby
going
in the
back
news
to how
world
my
knows
life,
all about that.
Yeah, because you guys did that on the morning show today, right? What is, it's like, have they said May 14th, or are they just saying middle of May?
No, they're saying middle of May, and why they're saying that is because originally they were thinking, maybe July, right? And who we talked to on this was the council president, Ron Salem, whose term ends in July, and he's saying that the biggest thing and the most important thing to finish before his term is out is this deal. Now, to get that done, he's saying his timeline is mid-May in order to get it into council's hands in June, get it to the governor, or excuse me, the mayor, and get it all finalized. The biggest, on the news side, the biggest aspect of this and why it's kind of been going a little faster than maybe anticipated last is because they dropped the whole East Side development part. Because the deal was supposed to be $2 billion, $600 million of that was going to be towards the East Side development and moving towards the South Bank. They've dropped that. Ron Salem says that's going to be a part of a separate deal in the future, he hopes. So now we're looking at $1.4 billion for the stadium. Obviously, taxpayers have to foot some of that, and because of that, they're going to do town halls similar to what they did last year with the president, Mark Lamping, to where they go out and explain exactly what this money is going to, exactly how much taxpayer dollars would go towards it, and those will begin also in the coming weeks.
That's a good breakdown, by the way. Good stuff. And I think you're right. All those things that I heard, again, for some reason I heard the date May 14th, so keep an eye on that day. But maybe it's that week or something like that. And there's one more domino in all that you just said, and the moved up timeline is good. Keep in mind, ideally, this thing would have been done like earlier this month. So then council could have got all those other steps would have been happening faster, I think. So then late May, when the owners meet in Nashville, they could have pushed it through and had owner ratification there.
Right.
It's a big word right there, ratification, right? I mean, maybe. I think that's good context for it. I'm not sure, but I think it is.
Or just
so
approval.
Now what you get is, Yeah, approval. But ratification sounds way better. I mean, which is the same thing. But so you go now, you get the May date. Maybe it's not a May day, but it's a May date. You get like the 60 days. Obviously, what you're saying about Salem's term and when that ends, I think he'd like to do it on his watch and at least help this thing through. I believe he's a supporter of it from everything I've seen. So I'm not trying to put words in my mouth. Am I right on that? Has he said he's a supporter of it, or are they just trying to do the right thing and he's just leading it? Yeah.
Yeah, he wants it.
So where the actual thing, and I don't know how much this delays like possible construction or when you put a shovel in the ground, when you start doing some underbelly stuff, whatever the next dominoes are. The next owners meeting, I believe after May, that could get approved is in October. So this actually gives the franchise, the city, everybody trying to get this deal done, time to go have those forums, right? To explain to fans, to include the fans, to have those conversations. You don't have to rush it. And so this time period probably is a lot better, but it also, from an actual NFL approval standpoint, I don't think would get done until October, where they would actually get it through and then boom. So there might be another meeting, but I heard October was the next one there, the actual owners' meetings where they would approve something like this. And that's a big step, by the way. That's an all-important step, too. Like, it's one thing to get everything done here. Get all your ducks in a row. Get the support, the framework. Explain it to the taxpayers. Explain it to the community. Get people on board with it, the council, the mayor. But then that last part of it is, quite frankly, in many respects, the most important part of it. You've got to get 24 out of 32 owners to say, yeah, it looks good. And that's why it's got to be presented a certain way. Like, they are not going to just take some approval from the city of Jacksonville, be like, hey, they're all in on this, if it doesn't look the way it's supposed to look by NFL standards, by other deals around the National Football League, the way they've been done. I don't think many people are aware of that part of it as much. That hasn't been as highly publicized, but that's a real thing. You look at the deal in Buffalo, right? You look at the other deals that have been done. They've got to fall in line. Titans are just done a deal in the stadium. Now, they're not all the exact same because the way they're being funded and other things, but the actual presentation of it, the dollars of it, the city involvement of it, the ownership of it, like all these other boxes, it can't be like everything looks like this and then the Jacksonville one looks like way out here on another line. Can't do it. It won't get approved. So it's a big part of it. It's a big reason, I think, why it was like a Sunday night game or a Monday night game. I believe Roger Goodell met with Schad and Mayor Deegan and everybody else and kind of helped with a little bit of that framework. Hey, here's what it's going to have to look like a little bit. I think that's how that stuff works and goes. But we're getting closer and closer to at least the presentation of it here in Jacksonville, which is obviously a big step, what it looks like. And then it might take all the way until, from what I hear, the fall in October for it to actually get done, if I understand everything correctly. But the bottom line is it's moving in the right direction. And I think it's going to happen. And you couple that with Trevor Lawrence, you couple that with the roster, what's going on, couple that with Josh Allen's big extension. I keep saying it. If they get the draft right and this season right, we're talking about maybe a hell of a run in Jacksonville for the next few years. Like it's a huge offseason in that regard. It's already been a big offseason, but it's just a massive offseason. Off the field, on the field, in the draft room, in free agency, and then what could lead to on the field. Maybe it's a highlighted point that we have now dismissed because we talk about this day in, day out. But don't sleep on that part of it. It's one of the most critical and important off seasons in the history of this franchise. We had Gene Fredette on from the owners' meetings. He said it is the most critical in this franchise's history. So that gives you an idea of really what's going on. There's a lot of big stories here in Jacksonville. And tonight that big story shifts to the 17th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. If you just joined us from outside of Jacksonville, that's a reset of where we all stand here in the noon hour. Brent and Austen show on the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network. We're going to check in with Austen here in just a few minutes. Let's take a quick look at your mock draft, Jason Hamby. and see what you did. You did your own. You wanted me to do one, but you told me at like 20 past 9 as I'm sweating and setting up here at Everbank Stadium, so I didn't do one. But I will eventually reveal my first-round pick of the Jags. Who is your first-round pick of the Jags?
My first-round pick, and I'm about to reveal it, my first-round pick is Jared Verse. And
now, did you want to go here, or did you get stuck here?
No, this is where I wanted to go. And I wanted to go here, first of all, because I do not think that Brian Thomas will be available at 17. And I'm not dismissing the possibility that the Jags move up to 12, 13, 14. Obviously, we've talked about, we are dismissing pretty much the possibility that they move up into the top 10. So given the fact that they say at 17, I'm almost guaranteeing that Brian Thomas Jr. will be gone in the 12 to 15 range. I don't think he'll last to the Colts at 15. If the Colts were to stay put at 15, then and if he would have fallen, they would take him. And based off of that, and based off of the trades that we think that could happen at 7, 8, and 9, I think that there's only 1 or 2 defenders total taken in the first 15 picks. There will be only 1 edge, that being Dallas Turner. And I think that would be taken by the Falcons at like 12, 13, or 11 if they were to trade with the Falcons. Dallas Turner is the only edge. So you're looking at the number 2 edge, and I do not think that it is possible, in my mind, that Trent Baalke at 17 can look at the number 2 edge off the board, a guy who was consistent for 2 years at FSU and wreaked havoc, and Jared Verse, and pass him up. With that being said, I do think what I would love to see, and again, I've been a little bit opposed, not entirely opposed, but hesitant to trade a ton of draft capital to move up. Because you stay at 17, that affords you the availability to move up in the second round. And what I would love to see is the Jags pick up a secondary selection in the second round so they can address receiver and corner, because in my mind there are 3 big needs. And these are not gaping holes, but this is 3 areas of improvement that we have to address. So at 36, I have us moving up to Xavier Leggett. Now, when I made this mock draft about a week ago, I thought that would be very plausible that he would be there. Now it seems like Leggett is moving up draft boards. The Panthers are supposed to be very high on him at 33, although I just saw on Twitter that Dave Canellis told him if he was available at 33, they'd take him. They asked him about that in a press conference. Canellis said, yeah, I told him that, and I told about 50 other players that. With that being said, I love Xavier Leggett. Yeah, I love Xavier Leggett. I have him as a 6th receiver, best on the board behind A.D. Mitchell. I think he's a phenomenal player, and he's like an A.J. Brown comp in my mind, and I don't just like him because of the sound bites that we've played on the show ad nauseum of his southern accent. So I had the Jags trading up, taking him, followed by their original pick at 48, Kamari Lassiter. That is a little bit of a homer because he is the cornerback out of Georgia. But I think if it's him, if it's Max Melton, if it's TJ Tampa, I would love the corner at this time, because I agree with what you said. I don't know how much of a difference there is between the corners that you're going to see at 17 being Terry and Arnold, Quinyon Mitchell, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Nate Wiggins, how much of a difference those guys are, how much better they are than the guys you're going to see in the second round, Tampa, Melton, Kamari Lassiter. Of course, I'm a homer. Kamari Lassiter is a phenomenal football player. He locked up and faced a lot of one receivers in the SEC and did very well. I'll skim through the last kind of bit here. Offensive tackle Blake Fisher. We saw him in a lot of Shock Your Mocks. Late to his chores, of course, but he's a good guy to get at this good value. Played a lot of snaps. I think we got to shore up both lines. I think, and I was talking a lot about this the other day with a buddy of mine. You take away receiver and corner, okay, those are going to get addressed at some point. I think every other pick between rounds 1 and 6 are going to be on the line. I don't know which line, defense or offense. I think you're going to address corner, you're going to address receiver. Everything else is going to be on the line. So I have Blake Fisher at 96. I have McKinley Jackson, SEC defensive tackle at 114. Going back to the offensive line, Ladarius Henderson at 153, guard out of Michigan. And then I deviated from that just to take safety at 212, Damani Richardson, just because I could see them shoring up that position or at least taking a flyer out of guy. And then I made one more homer pick at 236 just because I could. And I took Dejon Edwards, running back out of Georgia.
Well, I don't hate it. I don't mind Verse and I don't mind Leggett. And I wonder, let's just say you don't have the luxury to get a corner there in the first couple of rounds too. I wonder the feedback if you make it through the first 2 rounds, like late Friday night, and especially if you were to make it through the first 3 rounds. If you get to Saturday and there's not a corner drafted in Jacksonville, like I wonder what that feedback would be. What's worse in Jacksonville by Saturday, to not have a receiver or not have a corner drafted?
I think there's going to be a lot more expletives on Jags Twitter if we do not have a corner.
Really?
Yeah. I just think
there's going to be expletives either way, but I just feel like so many people want receivers so bad. Like I think people would be like out of their mind if they didn't pick a corner. Receiver. It's interesting. I'm going to ask it. I'll do it as we head to break. When we come back, we'll have Austen Lane. I think he's going to join us from Las Vegas. So we'll try to get that set up and we'll check in, and maybe I'll ask Austen that same question as he gets ready for his big fight in the UFC on Saturday night. And before that, a big couple of days of the NFL draft. It starts right here in Jacksonville. 7 o'clock tonight, Draft Night in Duval special on Fox 30 and our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, which is on actionnewsjacks.com and the Action News Jacks app. And then we will be here for all the festivities. Will the Jags stay at 17? Will they move up? Will they move back? Who will they take? We're just hours away from finding out. We'll be right back on the Brent and Austen Show here on Draft Day 2024.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town, and I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one-card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One-card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability.
Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part, they did it in one day.
It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnick Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnick family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles. from Nimnik Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnik Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 0.9% for eligible buyers on Terrains and no payments for 90 days. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnik Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnikbuickgmc.com. Nimnik, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
Thank you for making Action News Jax the best in Jax and Folio's Best of Jax 2023. Best TV station, Best TV newscast, Best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted Best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted Best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted Best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, Best news website and Best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jax local coverage you can count on.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained. And they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jax, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jax is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jax 24/7.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show. It looks like Brent's shot just went down, unfortunately, so I'm going to try and bring it back in. We got Austen Lane coming up in 1 second. Let's see if we can get Austen pulled up real quick. Let's see here. There he is. Austen, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Hamby. Can you hear me?
Oh, this is phenomenal. I love it when things work. How we doing out there?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to see that you took the coaching from yesterday and you got me live in full effect right away, man. I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good. All right, so Brent's shot just went down. Haven't heard from him. Stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
So while we wait for him, can you take us through what these last 24 hours have looked like?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, and I'm sure you guys have covered this already, but I would be remiss to say if I didn't mention this, thoughts and prayers going out to Tony Khan, who was viciously assaulted last night by Jack Perry and the Young Bucks the night before the draft is just, it's unacceptable. You know, from AEW, I'm not sure if there's some kind of tampering going on with the Tennessee Titans or Houston Texans, and they put out the hit on Tony Khan, but I saw a distraught Shad Khan last night, so it begs the question of all this stuff going on, just how is that going to affect the Jaguars draft now going forward in terms of the distractions and everything, because as we saw last night, it was quite the scene at Daly's place there, Hamby.
Yeah, and I mean, I gotta be honest, I was saying earlier, Shad Khan, the memes this morning on Twitter of, you know, reacting to Baalke coming down there pissed, and oh my gosh, those were good. You see those?
Yeah, of course, man. I've seen them all. And It's funny, and I'll have to find that audio because, like, one of the very first times I ever interviewed Tony Khan for AEW, I brought up the question of, like, would you ever be involved in a storyline? And he assured me, like, that's not going to happen. He's going to be behind the camera. Well, I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure now you're involved in a storyline. So, but yeah, it was entertaining. You know, obviously it was good fun. It's not going to be a distraction. I'm just joking, but it was definitely weird seeing Shad Khan come out there too and not show his concern.
Yeah. Who was fighting at that time?
Who was fighting at that time? You talking about for AEW?
Yeah, like what was that in the middle of?
Oh, when I asked him, so that would have been, I mean, that was in Vegas, so that would have been AEW Double or Nothing. That was their very first pay-per-view, and I got to interview, you know, Tony and everything after the event. So yeah, I was in Vegas for that. So I've been kind of following it, you know, since the beginning, if you will, of AEW.
Right.
Yeah. But besides that, though, yeah, everything's going great here. Yesterday was a lot of media, things like that. So did some interviews. Got a great workout in. Hamby, you ever watch Game of Thrones?
No, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, there's this dude called the Mountain from Game of Thrones. He's
yeah.
like, you know who he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was where I was training at. He was there yesterday. And believe me when I say, like, I don't feel small next to a lot of people. I felt like a child next to the Mountain. And I got my picture with him and everything as well. And super cool dude. And, like, you know, he's asking me all these fighting questions. And I'm just like, man, like the last time I watched you, you literally like gouged a guy's eyes out and crushed his skull with your hands in Game of Thrones. So I was just like in awe of just how big this dude was, but very humble, very chill. And yeah, just really cool to meet him yesterday.
Have you seen your opponent in person yet?
I have. I've seen him a couple times. Yep. Yeah. And it's like, you know, there's not like any bad blood or anything. And plus I don't think he speaks English. So I'm pretty sure the dialogue wouldn't be much, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, we've crossed paths a few times, and I mean, at least from my side, I'm kind of indifferent towards it. This is a guy I have to fight on Saturday, and I have no ill will, and all my energy right now is just focused on what I have to do and the task at hand.
One question I'd have for you, because I think everything that I've just from you talking about your fights is very business-like. You're so focused on what you're going to do, your game plan, right? You kind of cancel out. There's not a whole lot of external motivation for you. It's all kind of driven. And then, you know, I feel like a lot of UFC fighters start that way, but then as their career prolongs, as they get a little, maybe, you know, their second, third contracts, they're a little bigger, then obviously the selling it, you know, is a big part, and that's where you get a lot of these feuds, right? And you get a lot of these public and all that stuff. Is that something where, you know, you kind of see it would be hard for you to do because that's just not who you are, or is that something that you're kind of looking for? You know, there's not really a whole lot of there's zero feuding with you in Denise right now. Right? Is that something that you wish was there at some point and hope for?
No, not really. You know, I mean, if there was feuding, it would be genuine. Like, if he said something disrespectful, then yeah, obviously I would say something back and defend myself, or say whatever I have to say. But, you know, what's beautiful about this sport is the fact that you can kind of take it whichever way you want. You know, I mean, I think with my style, my accomplishments, my background, my story, I don't have to put on this facade and talk all this smack, because at the end of the day, when we go in the cage, it's going to be an entertaining fight. And that's the most important thing. And that's what I take pride in. I think some guys have to manufacture, you know, the hype. They have to manufacture the trash talking just because maybe their style doesn't align with an entertaining type of style. So they have to get eyes in a different way. I always told myself that when I was going to be doing this sport, that I would be truthful to myself and I would be 100% genuine, you know? So whether it's an interview, whether it's me in the cage, whether it's a post-fight presser, I'm always going to be me. And this type of mentality, this type of thinking, I mean, it really came into fruition when I had my son, you know, because when I played football, my son couldn't really watch me play football. He wasn't born yet. When I was playing for the Bears, he was, you know, 1. So he doesn't know anything about that. So like, I always felt like playing football was kind of me writing the story for myself. And now I feel like fighting is more of me writing another chapter, but it's going to be one that my son can read. And if that's the case, I want to make sure that, all the chapters that I write from fighting, he's going to be proud of, and he's going to have someone to kind of look at and be a, role model with. So I don't ever want to say something, do something where he's going to see and be like, what was that, Dad? So I got to remember that he's watching me as well.
Right. All right. I think we're at the time, and I think we're good to see if Brent can hear us. Brent, you got us? Let's see here. Let's try that again. I'm going to take this real quick. Brent, you got us.
Yeah, we got you. I got you. You got me?
There he is. Yep.
All right. There we go. Good job. Good work. You did a great job. I had a little power outage here. I think just me, not Everbank. Hopefully that wouldn't be the case. That would really suck on draft night for everybody in the war room if they had a power outage. But I did. Austen Lane, I've been listening. My thought on all the stuff Hamby's asking as you go deeper and deeper, and I love this stuff. That's what I love about you. I think a lot of people do like it about you. Has the UFC stuff, has the MMA, how do I phrase this, made you a deeper thinker? Like you're the guy and give your perspective. Obviously kids do that, right? Life does that. Age does that. But I mean, seriously, you are the guy that no holds barred, potentially at the beach bars, no holds barred, potentially on the practice field. You played with a certain edge and style, and that style that got you into fights on the football field seems like it would translate into the cage in MMA and now the UFC. Yeah. But it's almost like a deeper. You can't be that. You can't go all the time. You got to have more perspective in this sport.
Austin, can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him. Can you hear me?
Okay. Nope, you're good. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So, that's an interesting question there, Brent. I think when I played football, it was a lot more of aggression. Some would call it rage, annoyance, getting pushed in practice. All right, let's fight. I was definitely coming out of college and everything, I was definitely still young. I think with fighting, you learn to control your emotions more. Because in football, it's a 5 to 7 second play, and it's repeated bursts, right? So, all right, 5 seconds, guys in front of me, go through that guy, make the play. Okay, cool. Next play, 5 seconds, 7 seconds, whatever the case may be, go through that guy. So it's recharging sudden bursts, it's recharging explosiveness and all that stuff. And when you have that, you can be intense. You can play with bad intentions and all this stuff. In a fight, it's different just because, it could be 15 minutes. And if I come out there like I approached it in football and I'm in the 10th minute, the second round, I'm going to gas myself, and I take great pride in my cardio, but that's just a fact. So, this game is definitely more mental, I feel like, that people give it credit for. And once you have that headspace, and you feel comfortable in that cage, that's where you can start making the things happen. So to answer your question, yeah, I think I have done a lot of self-growth since I played football. I think being a father too has helped me teach self-growth, but definitely, just overcoming the obstacles, overcoming, the losses and just, the trials and tribulations that any fighter goes through has definitely made me a better person.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, it's just listening to you talk and Hamby asking some good questions there. I think it's pretty cool. And it is that sport. I think combat sport is what we call it. It looks so violent at times, which it is. But there's also this introspective nature of it, this massive amount of respect in it. And it's that special fraternity, I think, that gives it a bunch. This current
I got to jump in here, Austin. You can hear him. He just cut out on our end, but you can hear him through the other. So he wasn't coming over the air.
Okay.
So we're gonna give him a second. I'm not sure. Brent, feel free to jump back in, but you were kind of cutting out there, and we couldn't hear you there for a second. Where was he going with that, Austin?
Well, yeah, I mean, I couldn't quite make it everything out, but obviously I think it's going to be about, what to expect tonight. from this draft, and what can the Jaguars do? And I think I saw Brent mention something on Twitter. This might have been last night. Obviously the time difference is a little crazy here, but talking about how, do the Jaguars truly need a number one receiver? Like, we're sitting here all the time breaking it down saying, you have to get a one receiver. You have to get a one receiver. And, bring in Gabe Davis maybe did take some of the pressure off a little bit, but we've broke this down many times. I think you have a guy with Gabe Davis, you have a guy with Christian Kirk, you have a guy with Zay Jones, where, similar builds. And when you want to compare Zay Jones and Gabe Davis, they can do a lot of the same things. So the fact that they were so in depth in trying to bring back Calvin Ridley, and we heard Trent Baalke speak on this itself, I still think wide receiver is in play and the top play right now, because I feel like it's probably the biggest need. Mm-hmm. You can argue cornerback, you can argue, the depth at edge, but I think someone to come in and make an impact right away, I think it could be a wide receiver. So whether you trade up to get your guy, I see T. Higgins is requesting a trade now with Trey Hendrickson as well. There's a lot of ways that you can play it, So I always like the fact that we talk about, hey, go get your guy. And sometimes the analytics say, according to some people, that's not what you want to do, right? The Trent Baalke said the analytics show that let the draft fall to you. I'm all about trading up to get a top three of those, wide receivers in the NFL draft. But I'm also about maybe you do kind of play it out a little bit. Maybe you see where this goes. Maybe you see if T. Higgins can be off the table. Maybe you see if Brandon Hughes can be off the table. Because if one of those guys, go to an early team in the draft, well, then who knows what's going to happen, right? So there's a lot of possibilities here, but I'm still looking at, getting that wide receiver for Trevor Lawrence, especially if you want to get a new contract. I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence plays ball even more of getting a deal done if he has, the faith in the organization to go, hey, look who we drafted. Look who we traded for. That was all for you.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask you two things on the draft, and one of them was we were going to get to a little bit ago is if come Saturday, which scenario are Jags fans going to be more livid?
Okay.
If there's no corner or there's no receiver?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, I would almost call it a coin flip at this point, where it's almost 50-50, because I do feel like Jaguars fans, and I get Twitter doesn't speak for the entire fan base, but what I've seen on Twitter is, fans would encourage a cornerback, right? And maybe that's getting a little nervous because of Stephon Diggs coming to the division now. Maybe it's getting a little nervous because you're not sure what Tyson Campbell can bring to the table. Maybe there's some questions on Darby as well. I can see corner, and I'm not sure where the odds are at right now with that. It's probably still the favorite, and I've been pretty adamant about this. I feel like if they do go corner, I'm not going to be the most upset about it, because once again, I think you move Ronald Darby into the slot.
Right.
You get the guy that you drafted, whoever it's going to be, hopefully move him to the 1, because that's where you want him to go, and then you move Tyson Campbell to the 2, or you keep on this, on their respective sides, whatever the case may be. But you can move people around to make that work. It's not going to be the fact of, okay, you brought in Ronald Darby, where's he playing now? He's going to ride the pine for whatever, $4 million. No, they're going to include Ronald Darby as well. I still think he has a lot of great football ahead of him. So I'm not concerned about that. I just feel like the fan base, whether it was the whole Calvin Ridley situation, hey, you got to take Josh. I mean, you got to sign Josh Allen before the tag so you can get Calvin Ridley. I think this fan base has been aching for a wide receiver. And it's just, with all due respect to corner, it's just a sexier position at this point, and when you talk about the Houston Texans, once again, who have really upgraded themselves now in their offense with, Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs, I'm not saying the Jaguars got to follow suit with that, because they're on their own journey and they have to do their own thing. But at the same time, once again, it's about taking care of Trevor Lawrence, and taking care of Trevor Lawrence means getting a wide receiver.
Okay. All right. I'm going to see if we can't get Brent back in here, but the only other thing I wanted to ask you was about your plans to watch tonight. Obviously, you're being benefited by being on the West Coast as Brent is back here. What do you I mean, it'll start around 5. Jaguars pick hopefully around 7 your time. Brent, you're back on. Just want to make sure we can hear you real quick.
Yeah, you can hear me, I hope.
All right, there we go. We're good. So, Austin,
do you want to ask your question to Austin? Or?
Yeah, plans for tonight. So I'm going to go to the UFC PI and get a quick workout in, just kind of get a flush in. I'm going to sit in the cold tub a little bit, and then I'm going to rush home or rush to my hotel and, throw the draft on. I'm not sure if they have – I assume the sports books have odds here and everything of, like what teams take who. Probably not going to do that because I'll probably get my heart broken. But, yeah, I definitely will be staying tuned and watching it. Hopefully, whether the Jaguars move up, whether they move – I mean, I just hope the Jaguars pick somebody tonight. But once again, is Shad Khan distracted? Is Tony Khan in the ICU? We have no idea, Brent. A lot of things. I mean, have you heard? Is Tony Khan okay?
I think he's okay. I haven't seen him in the building yet, though. I mean, what do you make of all that?
I mean, I started this segment off with it, Brent. I don't know if the Houston Texans or the Tennessee Titans put out a bounty. Could have been the Colts, but despicable behavior by the Young Bucks and Jack Perry. I hope Tony Khan, takes care of business and handles it accordingly. But you just hate to see it, Brent, the night before the draft. A lot of distractions right now in Jacksonville. A lot of distractions right now in that stadium.
Yeah, you better not. By the way, I said this. They better not make a pick. I mean, they better be picking here, and I gotta believe. I mean, there's no way they would get out of the first round. I just don't. I think that's like the most unlikeliest of unlikely things that could happen. All right, last thing, and then we'll let you go. Appreciate you being here. If not, Hamby would have had to do like the whole last 15 minutes by himself, and that could have been a clear disaster. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Jason Hamby, Brent and Austin Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network, hanging out at the stadium on draft day. You said it in a bit of passing, but I got to believe your ears perked back up when Higgins and Hendrickson reports are that they now want to be traded a day before the draft. We thought that was done, and it gets back on the table a little bit. I think this is going to be a wild day around the NFL. I'm almost be disappointed at this point if not. I'm not predicting like Herbert's going somewhere, Higgins, Ayuk all going somewhere, but it just enters back into your mind that a guy like Higgins or a big move on the table for the Jags could be in place outside of an actual draft pick.
Yeah, I feel like it's wild, and maybe I'm wrong here. This happened in the past as well, but to me, the whole A.J. Brown trade from Tennessee to Philadelphia really kind of set a precedent now for what we can expect, right? Like, I don't think we're going to be surprised if T. Higgins gets traded, in a couple hours or in draft night. I think we're going to be surprised if Brent Ayuk gets traded. So, yeah, I think it can make things very, very interesting, Brent. And once again, if you're the Jaguars, do you trade up to get your guy in the draft? Do you kind of let it fall a little bit and maybe make a play for T. Higgins or Brent Ayuk? There's a lot of possibilities here to be aggressive. And I know how Trent Baalke feels about being aggressive sometimes, but once again, like I was mentioning, if we're talking about re-signing Trevor Lawrence, hopefully by this year, to kind of waive, that T. Higgins, that Brandon Ayuk, or like that top wide receiver in the draft is only going to help the contract negotiations.
Absolutely. All right, let's let you go. You're in Vegas, but I got to leave you with this. Who they picking? Let's just assume they pick 17. We can't predict trades and all that stuff, but let's just say they stay at 17. Who would you have in penciled at 17 for the Jaguars tonight?
Man, if we're staying at 17, I mean, Burst can definitely fall there, but I think with Nielsen coming in, I think they go more corner than they do edge. So whichever cornerback is going to be available, if it's at 17, because I mean, people are saying now like Rome Odunze is going to fall to 17. I mean, if he's there, more power to him, man. But I think if we're talking about 17, it's going to be a corner.
Yeah, so you're saying probably Terry and Terry and Arnold or Mitchell, probably one of those top two guys. We think the Colts are a very important factor here if the Jags do want to go that way. By the way, Jared Verse was Hamby's pick on his mock draft, which I'm a little pissed about because, to be honest with you, I've been telling everybody that would listen outside of a microphone, I think Verse is going to end up in Jacksonville too if they stay at 17. That's the caveat. I think he is going to be available. I think pass rusher, I've been saying it for months now, is a sleepy position of need for the Jags. And so I think Hamby and I got Verse, which means it's never going to happen if I'm agreeing with Hamby.
Well, so let's go ahead and call it, I don't know, probably some offensive lineman then, Brent. We'll see who it is. Can't wait.
All right, man. Have a good day out there. I know you got to weigh in tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be able to check in with you from Vegas one more time before your fight. If we don't, good luck and go get a W Saturday.
We'll do.
Peace out, Austin.
All right, man. That is Austen Lane, of course, from Las Vegas. Got a big fight Saturday night. We'll be all rooting for that one as we soak up the rest of the NFL draft as well. Let's take one more time out here in the show today. We come back from Everbank Stadium. Draft night in Duval is here. We are here all day. CBS 47, Fox 30, social media, our new Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network streaming on ActionNewsShacks.com and also the Action News Jacks app. Don't miss it. Maybe if you hang out with us, you'll get a shirt someday. We'll be right back on the Brent and Austen Show.
What started out as better people, better projects just keeps getting, well, better. That's Better Exterior Solutions, ready to help you create a better outdoor experience. Check this out. Motorized pergolas are the latest in technology to transform your outdoor space. Beautiful day? Let the sun shine through. Summer rainstorm? These pergola systems close automatically to keep the weather out. From residential to commercial uses, Better Exterior Solutions has products customized to meet virtually any existing architectural structure. With retractable awnings, screens, and hurricane shutters too, if you want unparalleled quality and expertise, you need Better Exterior Solutions. Get a free estimate by visiting betterexteriors.com or calling 904-902-4999. Better Exterior Solutions. Experience better.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access.
Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence.
You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield. I'm Action News Jack's First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beaton. While the sun is up, and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jacks This Morning team, helping you start your morning right.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Community. That's who we serve.
It's the people. Yeah, it's the people.
Demanding answers. Because the truth matters.
When are you going to do the job?
Listening and getting help to those who need it.
I just appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
It's about telling stories from deep inside our neighborhoods, informing you, building connections, tracking storms.
Serious storm situation, the kind of which we rarely see.
Holding people accountable.
You were getting at the truth.
That's who we are. Action News Jacks.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the Pro Shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Draft night in Duval, it's coming up Thursday night. That is tonight, 7 o'clock on Fox 30 and on our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Let's take care of some house cleaning things. We'll be live on TV 4, 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock with Fox 30, of course, and our Draft night in Duval special. 10 o'clock hour, which is the news at 10 on Fox 30. We feel like that's where the Jaguars will actually make the selection. We'll have breaking news live, most likely. At 10 o'clock, an instant reaction and analysis right then. 11:15 tonight on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can find a recap of the NFL draft day one with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We hope they're still not on the clock by then. It should be about wrapped up at that juncture for the Jaguars. So plenty to still get to throughout the day. We'll be on social media as well. And don't forget, tomorrow we will be at String Sports Brewery. Come have some drafts with us as we talk about the draft here in Springfield, just a couple miles away from the stadium. And we'll recap everything that went down on night one of the NFL draft. Always a fun show, the Friday after draft, and then the anticipation of what could take place in rounds 2 and 3. Brent Martineau, Jason Hamby, been fun talking about the draft all this time. I got about 10 more minutes before we get out of here to talk about it again. And I think you like Jared Verse here. I like Jared Verse here. Cornerback, I think, is what Austen Lane really got to because he's out of receivers. I think all in play. I think we're actually in the minority, Hamby. I don't think a lot of people would agree with us. I think a lot of people, I'm going to throw that out there right now, that we think Verse is going to be the guy if they stay at 17. I think that's a big part of this. The if part is important here. If you stay at 17. And I think it would be a good pick. I don't know if everybody around town would think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I wouldn't be mad with Latu either. I'm not a tape specialist. I do watch tape, and I try to, study film and know ball a little bit more than the next guy. And I've really liked what Latu has been able to do, and I kind of see it as on the receivers end. There's the top three. And I think it's very similar with edge rushers. And I think it's Dallas Turner, who's probably not going to be there, Verse, who might be there, and Latu, who will be there. And in my personal opinion, I would rather see us take a Latu from UCLA than a corner still, even if Verse is gone, because I could see Colts taking Verse. I could see a team, whoever's at 14, or even the Seahawks at 16, if they were to stay, could take Verse. I would be more than happy with Latu. Is incredibly quick off the edge and sneaky powerful. He's a little undersized. Verse is a lot bigger than he is, but even still, Latu looks like a stud.
Yeah, I don't know as much about Latu other than there's some injury concerns with him, right? I mean, he retired in his college career is the story. So, I mean, I think that comes with a red flag. I know people say, Baalke special. I don't know about that. But you got to those are some of the answers we don't know about some of these guys, like the conversations, right? Some of the red flags that we might see on a report or something that might sprinkle in there isn't really that much of a red flag. So these guys have had conversations, visits, all the rest. I just don't mind pass rusher. Go ahead and get the best one available. I just don't think it's a bad thing at all if the Jags were able to do that, and I wouldn't hate the pick whatsoever. The other part of this is prop bets.
Yes.
I know you had some. How many quarterbacks? Like, you wanted to do your own prop bets. I know there are some out there as well, but like everything's burning up on my computer and phone, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get to the ones that I had. But you had like a simple one. How many quarterbacks get taken in the first round? Like, we talked about the quarterbacks earlier. Like, where does that end up falling?
Yeah, I mean, you could go how many quarterbacks get taken in the first round and how many get taken in the top 15 or top 16 first half. Because Michael Penix to be drafted, I'm looking at some right now. Michael Penix to be drafted in the first round is minus 320, which is surprising. I know, the Raiders have been linked to him, that he's, kind of seen in that 5th, 6th range right around with Bo Nix. But even still, man. So that leads you to believe that it's going to be, I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say 4 in the top 10, with J.J. McCarthy being traded for, and 6 total. And, based off of just the trend that we've seen with teams being so willing to trade a lot of capital to go and take a quarterback, even though they know that it's overdrafting, it's hard for me to say that Bo Nix and Penix both wouldn't be taken in the first round.
Yeah, listen, I think I get that's where it's all going. I don't think that's where it lands. I really don't. I don't think they'll go overdraft and get too desperate. What I could see is somebody late, like let's just take the Raiders or who's been linked. Who's the Knicks? What's it?
Broncos.
Broncos. Let's take a team like that, and I don't know what the rest of their draft capital, but could they do something Baltimore did with Lamar Jackson, where you come back in and get a guy? Now, totally different situation, but can you come back at 32, right, or 31, and come back in and get a guy? I just don't think they're going to overdraft to that degree. I think McCarthy will be overdrafted. I think it'll be 4 quarterbacks that get taken in the first round, with a caveat there that somebody could jump in late. I'm not going to predict that, so I'll stay with 4, and we'll see what happens. I got some goofy ones for you. What will happen first? Nick Saban smiles or Bill Belichick smiles? They're both part of the broadcast tonight.
Oh, 2 grumps. Give me Saban.
Yeah, Saban's a heavy favorite here, minus 150.
Okay.
I actually would lean toward Belichick. I think I'd take some money on that, and I think they get him the chuckle first.
Okay, here's my question then. Is what qualifies as a smile? Because I feel like Billy B, you could get a grin, no teeth. I feel like Bill's big, no teeth. I feel like Saban, you're gonna get a little wry smile. So I feel like that plays in Saban's favor if we gotta have teeth as a smile.
That could be. I think the wry Bill smile is probably more likely than the teeth smile from Bill. So maybe that's why he is a heavy favorite there. All right, I'm not talking about Nick Saban and Bill Belichick's smile anymore. Instead, I'm going to talk about Caleb Williams' nail polish. What color will it be primarily? Black, orange, white, pink, blue, green?
Give me blue for the Bears. Orange, I feel like it could be. But I feel like he'll go a little more subtle, emphasis on the little, and I'll take blue for the Bears.
Where's blue in the Bears? Aren't they primarily black and orange?
Huh?
Is there blue in there? Is there a lot of blue in the Chicago Bears logo and color scheme?
Bro, they're not black. They're blue and orange.
Blue?
Chicago Bears?
Why do I feel like it's black?
No.
First of all, it's orange is the color that I would have picked there. But I always see like the black. Do they have blue uniforms? They got black uniforms.
No, Brent. Those uniforms are blue.
Maybe I got. I'm colorblind.
Uh-oh. We'll have to go to the eye
Maybe
doctor.
that is the case. All right. Let's see if we get. Will number 1 overall pick cry?
No.
No,
man.
I'm saying yes.
You've known you've had 6
Williams
months.
was hugging his mom and dad in the stands. Remember that picture?
I understand. You've had 6 months. 6 months to emotionally prepare for the fact to hear your name called number 1. You better not cry.
Will Jim Harbaugh draft a Michigan player? Yes or no? Yes is the favorite.
Yeah, he will. Ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Will the Eagles draft a player from the Georgia Bulldogs? Yes is minus 180.
I'm going to go no, because I know our roster and the guys that we're putting out, and they don't need those positions. They've already got Georgia guys at those positions.
All right, here's the, this is an interesting one. I'm not going to have you pick it, but I just want to share the odds. Who will be traded first during the NFL draft? Brandon Ayuk is 2-1, Alvin Kamara 3-1, Cortland Sutton 4-1, DeAndre Hopkins 5-1, T. Higgins 6-1, and A.J. Brown 8-1. Pretty good odds, by the way. That these guys are moving. Vegas feels like they're moving. Mm-hmm. How many trades? Oh, I like this one. How many trades will there be in round one? Over/unders 5.5. Over.
Yes. There's going to be 3 in the top 10.
That's a lot. Really? That many?
Yeah, like there could be.
I'm going to take
7,
the
8,
under.
9. All right, we'll have to actually bookkeep that one. And you said it's 5 or 5.5?
5.5.
Okay,
so
I'm taking
you're
over.
taking 6 or more. I'm taking 5 or under. Yeah. Because think about it. If you have 5 trades alone, that's 10 teams that have been involved in trades.
Yeah.
Now, what you do get it sometimes a team that trades twice. Yeah. I'm taking the under. Even though I think it's going to be an electric first round, and I've said that, but I think that sounds like too many to me. How many trades will be in the top 10 picks of round one? Over/unders 2. You think there'll be more than that?
Yeah, give me the over on that as well.
Let's see what else we got. Will the team's draft spot be moved back for missing pick? Yes is plus 1,000. That's it. Plus 1,000, 10-1 odds?
We've seen
That's
it.
That's crazy. Like it should. Yeah, we've seen it like once. That's crazy. That it would be that high. It was the Vikings, I think, and I think the Jags were the next pick. I believe it was. That's just the way back. So they were the next pick or the next pick after that. But I think they were the next pick after Minnesota didn't run the card up there in time. All right. Well, hey, listen, folks. I am going to petition that we move the draft up a few weeks because I really think we've talked a lot about the draft in the last couple of months, and I don't hate it. I think this one's fascinating. A lot of different ways to go. I still don't know who the Jags are going to pick. There are 15 different guys we started the show that have been mocked, and probably more. But we counted 15 different guys that have legitimately been mocked by national pundits, if you will, to the Jaguars at number 17. That's if they don't even move. What if they go up? What if they go back? Are they going to make a trade for a big-time receiver that doesn't even include the draft? Will they go all the way into the top 10? Is it corner? Is it pass rusher? Is it wide receiver? Is it someone we're not missing? What if Brock Bowers does fall to 12 or 13? You got a chance to go get him. These are all the storylines we've talked about for such a long time. And now the Jaguars are, well, getting closer to being on the clock tonight at 10:15-ish is probably when they will make that pick. And we will be here for it at the draft party. Our coverage continues all day here on the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network on CBS 47 and Fox 30. So make sure you're tuned in. And then full recap tomorrow from String Sports Brewery in Springfield. We'll have you covered and hope you can join us for some drafts around lunchtime tomorrow. Get your weekend started. Talking draft coverage at String Sports Brewery in Springfield with the Brent and Austen Show. For Austen Lane in Las Vegas and Jason Hamby pushing all the buttons, did a nice job today.